We're going to call the meeting to order, and we will begin with the invocation, which will be given by Pastor Richard Dobbs, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Officer Andrew Couch. After that, would you stand with us, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we honor your presence, your power, your love, and your grace. We ask you to forgive us for all wrongdoings, and we pray for peace. We pray for Philippians chapter 4, verse 7, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Thank you for truth that always prevails, according to John 16 and 13. And we pray, however we heed the Spirit of truth has come, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak on his own authority. Whatever he hears, he will speak and will tell you things to come. Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask for your direction, your guidance, and for you to get involved. We're asking for your leadership and wisdom to rest upon the mayor, the city council, elected officials, the staff of this city, as well as the citizens of this city. Thank you for helping us with clarity, cooperation, and consistency in conducting the business of our city. And in closing, we pray for peace in our homes, and our minds be whole, and that our families are happy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pastor Richard Dobbs is a native of Villa Rica, Georgia, son of Mr. Larry Dobbs and Mrs. Sharon Shackelford. Graduate of Bremen High School, graduate of the University of West Georgia with a major in business information systems, where he received a Bachelor of Arts. Graduate of King's Bible College, where he received a Bachelor of Arts in Ministry. Served in the banking industry for 8 years, pastor, founder of Overcomers Christian Center for the past 28 years, married to Cassandra Dobbs, 35 years. Congratulations. Has 2 amazing adult children, Charity Dobbs and Dion Dobbs. Mission in life: to empower and equip believers to fulfill their God-given ability and to be productive both spiritually and naturally. Overcomers Christian Center continues to serve Glanton Heinzman Elementary School in their weekly backpack program for a number of years. We also serve, or in your case, the church also serves, outreach ministries that serves homeless ministry, nursing home, women's shelter, back-to-school outreach for the past 28 years, and other various ministries. Thank you, Pastor. And Officer Dobbs, who did our pledge, Couch, who did our pledge tonight, was raised in Bremen, Georgia, where he attended Bremen High School. Officer Couch graduated with Bremen High School in 2015, began his law enforcement career at Bremen Police Department in 2021. Officer Couch was hired at the Villa Rica Police Department in July of 2023 and is currently assigned to the Patrol Division, which is the A shift. He assisted the agency and serves as the school resource officer at Villa Rica Elementary School for the start of the school year. Officer Couch and his wife, Heather, are members at Liberty Baptist Church in Bowden, Georgia. They also have 1 child named Presley, and she is 18 months old. That's a fun age. They can get everywhere at that age. Thank you, both of you. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda unless we have any amendments.
So moved. How about your ceremonial presentations?
Wouldn't that be after? Oh, okay, right. Let's go ahead and adopt the agenda, and I'll go back to presentations.
Okay.
So unless there's a change. With so moved, we have a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. If you'll notice, we've made a little change, and instead of me looking for hands and everything, the clerk observes what the vote is, and will announce it when it's necessary. On this, we pretty much expect it to be consensus. All right, we have one or two presentations tonight. Okay, just one now. Okay. And which department do we have coming up to make the, Hal, will you be doing the presentation here for Mr. Robinson? Okay.
All right, so today we're here to celebrate Jerome Robinson's 5 years of service. And to commemorate this, Jerome, I wrote a poem. That's not true at all, but I did write some nice things. So I'm honored to be here today to celebrate the 5-year work anniversary of our esteemed colleague, Jerome Robinson. This man, while tall in stature, but reserved in nature, has been a shining example of dedication, hard work, and professionalism. In his time here, he has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to excellence. His quiet determination, coupled with his exceptional skills, has earned him the respect and admiration of all who had the privilege of working with him. Excuse me. It is without a doubt that our organization has greatly benefited from his contributions over the past 5 years. His work has not only helped us achieve our goals, but it has also set a high standard for others to follow. As we celebrate this significant milestone, let us all recognize the valuable role he has played in our success. Let us extend our heartfelt congratulations and express our deep appreciation for his unwavering dedication. Here's to another 5 years of growth, success, and achievements for our exceptional colleague. Thank you for your service.
Okay, we've adopted the agenda, so we're going to move into public comment. I'm going to read a statement before we begin. As we start public comment portion of the meeting, there will be a sign-up sheet, or there was a sign-up sheet as you entered the council chambers. I will call those individuals first, and anyone additional wishing to speak who did not sign up will be given an opportunity to do so as well. Thank you. As you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each individual will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those addressing the mayor and council may feel free to speak openly on the matter you wish to bring to our attention, but we do ask that you do so in a respectful manner and refraining from any uncivil discourse. As an elected body, we do not typically engage in question and answer and back and forth with you at that time. This is your time. However, if you do have questions or concerns that necessitate a response from the staff level, I'll be happy to have the city manager contact you in a reasonable time frame within the next few business days, or maybe we'll point you just to a staff member this evening that can answer your question or get back to you. As your elected officials, we do value the opportunity to hear from citizens and who have a vested interest in our city. Christy Chastain. Okay. Doug Lang.
Mayor, I'm going to hold my comments until community development.
Okay. And I'll mention that since that's coming up, we do have several items that have a hearing. If you are here for one of those specific items that has a public hearing and it will say that on your agenda, then you can have your comment time during that. Anything else we can do right now? Okay. Mike McCowan? Okay. Sam Perkins?
I want to bring up the variant.
Name and address for the
Oh,
record.
sorry, Sam
That's okay.
Perkins. I thought you said that.
And address. I said your name.
170 Maple Valley Drive.
There you go.
I want to bring up the issue of some variances that have been applied for over on Baker Industrial, which is off of Liberty Road. which encroaches on some properties over there. The variances that they are asking for are way too extreme. They're actually way too close already. We don't have much of a buffer as it is. And from my understanding, they have already been issued a notice of violation out of the zoning that it's zoned for over there. And I don't think that particular property is very well suited for what they want to build. It makes no sense. And if you go down Liberty Road now, once you pass the truck stop, it already looks like a rock quarry junkyard as it is, and you're right there on top of residential properties. Plus, like I said, the buffer between where he wants to build this variance over to our neighborhood is extremely close. Plus, I had to redo my field lines, and they told me I couldn't get them closer than 125 feet to the creek. He's asking for a buffer, I think, of like 10 feet. How is that possible? I'm not sure if they have sewer over there on that part of Liberty Road, but if that's on septic tank over there, that's going to be run off into the creek. So I would strongly recommend y'all look at that very close. I don't think that's something that's going to help Villa Rica at all over in that area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is it Hubert Farr? There we go.
Hubert Farr, 173 Maple Valley Drive. I also am speaking on the variance that they are asking for. That is a very large building they are proposing to build. It's going to cover 9.25 acres with a roof height of, they don't have specs on here, but everything else this size is 45 to 50 feet ceiling height. So this is an enormous building that they're going to put on top of a residential area that they conveniently put the address over all the houses that it's going to affect in the picture. So I too ask that you guys look into that seriously about putting this big of an industrial building right on top of our residential area. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and it'll be a repeat of my comments to you what seemed like about 30 minutes ago, but my council member was not here, and I'm not sure everybody sees emails. But I'm still, as a citizen, I'm still unhappy about the highest ranking employee of the city of Villa Rica getting involved in the political process in the fall and siding with a former elected official over a newly elected official that the majority of the citizens voted for. And so I'm not going to be happy about it until I hear something really official. I know there was some discussion in the last month, but nothing about that satisfied where I'm coming from, because I feel like it was an effort in this house, in the city hall. This is not city hall, but it felt like an effort at city hall, which you don't even have an office in. I'm not even sure you're afforded a place to actually have meetings. I don't know if that's staff retaliation. There's just a lot of things that bother me. Well, that was an impression I got. So I'm just saying, if you've got staff people that are getting involved in the election process, that's just not right. I don't think it's illegal, but it's just not right. I don't think there's a city or county in this state, and I'm 100% sure the state of Georgia would not tolerate an employee getting involved at that level, putting a letter out to the citizens. They would not allow it. I promise you they would not. But this city allowed it because there are at least 3 elected officials that were okay with it. And here's my point on this that I didn't get to today. So if you're an elected official that sided with that, and you may have your reasons, and if I knew those, I might go, yeah, okay, well, you got a little bit of a point. but you still cannot allow employees to get involved in the political process. You cannot let that happen. So what about some of you will be up for election, what, in 25? 25, right? So what if some employee did that for you and you knew it was wrong? You could find yourself on the other side of the issue. So you know that's not right. Regardless of what reason you might give for having done that, it's not right. It is, it just flies into the face of the citizens of this city and to the voters, of one of which I am. And I know the people in my neighborhood, and as I said today, they're not going to watch today's meeting. They're not going to come to the meeting, most likely. So they're not going to know how good of a meeting you had this afternoon at the 1:30. It was a great meeting. It's the best meeting for the city of Villa Rica I've ever been to. It was a good meeting. I encourage everybody that was not here to go back, because there are some things that were discussed that won't be fully discussed tonight, that you can only see in the video whenever it's available. So you do need to do that. But take a nap first, because it lasts almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours. So anyway, thank you for your time, and I appreciate all you do.
Is there anyone else that did not sign up that wishes to speak during public comment time? This is the time to do it if you did not get signed in, because I finished the list. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay. All right, we're going to move into council updates. Council members? Yes. Councilman Warmoth, go ahead.
Good evening. Since our last council meeting, it has been brought to my attention that our city staff have been greatly affected by the recent controversy in our city. I want to reiterate that our city employees have absolutely no authority when it comes to the decisions made by the elected officials who are before you. It is unacceptable that multiple employees in different departments have reported being slandered, followed, and harassed, not only while on the clock, but also during their personal time with their family. This raises a long list of concerns, especially when children are involved. Surely we can all agree on that. While citizens have the right to express themselves on the matters of our city, I come before you and humbly ask that you all do so in an appropriate and peaceful manner. I cannot speak for the mayor or the other council members. However, I am confident we would all be in agreement that we appreciate and value our city staff. We have some amazing employees who work hard for our city. They deserve to work in a safe environment, free of harassment, and they deserve the same in their personal time with their families. I urge citizens to direct their questions and concerns through the appropriate channels. I appreciate you guys.
Any other council members, updates? Okay, I just want to give a little shout out to the Parks and Recreation Department. Yesterday with the eclipse, they set up a really nice event, and it was for all ages. So seniors from the senior center stayed there over at Gold Dust Park. They had glasses, snacks, juice, and there were some families that came with a blanket to spread down with the kids, probably the younger children, the homeschool kids, because I know that most of the other children were in school. But very nice event, and I had the opportunity to go, so I just wanted to recognize them for that. And it was nice to see all the ages there together, so I appreciate that.
Oh, well, Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to commend the county for furnishing the glasses for the schools, the children in all the schools in Villa Rica. I guess the
county school system?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because they got them. So
Well, good. I was afraid they might have kept them in class, and I go, no, you got to let those kids out.
Yard. Yeah.
Do you remember when we were younger? Well, those of you that are old enough, and they wouldn't let us look, and we had to cut a thing in cardboard and look through it to see it. We didn't have those glasses, so it's kind of nice. Okay, some of y'all would have no clue because you're a lot younger than I am. All right, we're gonna go right into the consent agenda. What the consent agenda is topics that we've discussed previously in the work session in this today. And some of them at length and some of them are a little shorter, but they tend to be things that aren't controversial. So they'll get voted on all at once, and I will read over the list for you now. Number 1, are these ones that are in different numbers? It's not, these are fine. Okay, number 1. That's Gold Dust Recreational HVAC replacement. Number 2, appointment of Nora Halliday as a Main Street Advisory Board member. Appointment of Joel Crawford as a Main Street Advisory Board member. And also appointment of Susan Thompson Crane as a Main Street Advisory Board member. Also have the appointment of Brandon Swafford as Downtown Development Authority Board member, and appointment of Dr. Andre Westfield as a Downtown Development Authority Board member. And before I go beyond that, thank you for those of you that have stepped forward to serve like that. It is a volunteer job that they give their time for to help our community. Number 7, the 2024 license agreement with Los Cowboys Mexican Restaurant. Number 8, Pyro Shows East Coast for vendor of the July 3rd fireworks display. Number 9, July 3rd professional service contract with RCS Productions. Number 10, Cleghorn Pump Station Force Main relocation. Number 11, approve the property and liability insurance renewal with Georgia Interlocal Risk Management Agency, otherwise known as GERMA. And number 12, approve the excess cyber liability insurance renewal. Number 13, Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement. That will go along the Villa Rica Parkway. Number 14, Ashley Place stop sign request. Number 15, E.R. Snell change order in Carroll Vista subdivision. And 16, Old Tanyard Road culvert repair. Section A,
I'll move to adopt
yeah.
the consent agenda.
Yeah. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? It's unanimous. You don't have a microphone. We got to get you. And then so people will know the vote when we do have something that's not unanimous. Sorry, I know you've got your hands full. Okay, governing body, A1, FY23 Financial and Compliance Audit Summary presented by Malden and Jenkins.
Good evening. Yes, Meredith is with us this evening. I thought I would introduce her and let you know that what you have before you are 2 documents. One being the auditor's discussion and analysis. It's pretty much a summary of what she's going to give tonight. And then you have your ACFR, or your annual comprehensive report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023. We finished this audit, or the audit was finished and the financials were finished a few weeks ago, so we put it on the most recent tonight's agenda. And Meredith will go over the process, and we had a clean opinion, no audit adjustments. Everything went really well, but I'll let you hear it from the auditors. So.
Good evening. I very much appreciate the opportunity to present the fiscal year 2023 audit to you all. As Jennifer mentioned, the audit was completed a while back, filed with the State Department of Audits, as well as the Government Finance Officers Association by their by their March 31st deadline. The 2 documents that you have, the biggest one, of course, is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. A lot of information is included in there, and I know this is the first time you all have received it, so we won't get into that deep document, because the other document that you have is really kind of a summary of the audit process, and some information regarding the financial activities of the city for the fiscal year 2023. So if you would, if we could look at the smaller document that's titled Auditor's Discussion and Analysis. Just real quickly, some of the information that's included within this document talks about our firm and the individuals that participated as part of the audit process, gives an overview of the audit report, the financial statements, footnotes, supplementary information, as well as our compliance reports. There's a lot of information included in here that we as auditors are required to communicate to you all under the standards that guide us. And so we put that in this document so that you will have it, but it's not something necessarily that I'm going to go over word for word because we'd be here for quite a while. We also, if we have recommendations or any findings, those would be included within the document. And then we do mention some of the things that our firm offers for our clients, free continuing education, newsletters, and so forth. So as you see on page 2, there's they say it's called a dashboard, but it's I guess a chart that kind of gives you some information about our firm. We do a significant number of governmental audits all over the southeastern United States and are very proud of the practice that we've built. The next page, on page 4, we provide just some additional information on the services that we offer outside of just the governmental auditing services. Page 5 is where we talk about the audit opinion. As Jennifer mentioned, we did issue an unmodified opinion. That is a clean opinion, of course, the one that you want to receive. The statements, as always, are the responsibility of management. Our responsibility is to express an opinion based on our audit procedures, and again, an unmodified, clean opinion. There also is supplementary information that we provide an in relation to opinion on, and then there's also additional reports included within the thick document, your comprehensive annual financial report. Other reports on the test of compliance and internal control, as well as on your as well as on the audit of your federal financial programs. On page 6, we give a brief explanation, kind of an organization of the comprehensive annual financial report, so that you kind of know how it's set up. There is really no change in the setup of the comprehensive annual financial report from previous years. Again, a lot of information, makes for great reading. Page 7, we do mention that you all have received these Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for a number of years, and you received it for the fiscal year 2022 audit, and what was just filed recently is for the fiscal year 2023 audit. They are somewhat behind on reviewing and issuing those certificates, but we fully anticipate that the city will receive that certificate again for fiscal year 2023. On page 8, we begin some of the information regarding the financial statements themselves. There's really 3 main components. There's the government-wide financial statements, which take all of the city's funds and put them into 2 kind of categories, governmental and business type. There's also your fund financial statements and the footnotes to the financial statements. As far as government-wide statements, under the full accrual, the city had total assets of approximately $150 million, offset by liabilities of approximately $63 million. So your net position, or the equity, was approximately $87 million at September 30th, 2023. The next page kind of brings you down a little bit into the general fund, which is just one fund that's included in the information that I just provided, those numbers. The general fund is really the kind of the heart and soul of the city. It accounts for all the revenues and expenditures of your various departments, primarily those revenues that are not earmarked for certain purposes, special revenue type funds and so forth. So your general fund, on page 9, you can see the chart that breaks down your revenues into the various categories. Of course, as with most city governments, property taxes and sales taxes produce the major portion of your revenues, followed by other taxes and intergovernmental revenues, licenses and permits, and so forth. Page 10, same information on the expenditure side, broken down by function. As with all governments we work with, and I mean every single one, public safety is the primary expenditure function. That is, of course, to be expected, $5.9 million in public safety, followed by your general government and your judicial. The next page, on page 11, this shows a 5-year history of your general fund revenues and expenditures. Of course, the gold there are your revenues. Expenditures are in the blue. As you can see, for each year presented, your revenues and any transfers in from other funds outpaced the expenditures and transfers out to other funds, which is good. That means each of these years you all are adding to your fund balance of your general fund. It may not be huge, but it's going in the right direction every year. On page 12 is another graph, 5-year history reflecting the change in your fund balance. As you can see, each year it's been a positive change. It looks like it's dropping there in the middle, but it's just not as positive, I guess you could say. In 2019, 1.5 million increase in your fund balance. 2020, 1.4. 2021, $876,000 increase. 1.1 million in 2022 and 1.14 million in 2023. So again, each year over the past 5 years, your fund balance has increased, it's hard to do, but you all have, you've held the line on expenditures, you've maintained the level of revenues, and so you've been able to increase that fund balance, which is really important.
Meredith, I'm sorry. It actually says negative change here, though, on the document.
I apologize. That is.
Okay. Just making sure I was reading that right.
incorrect.
Okay.
No matter how many times we proofread this thing, something gets through. So all these years have had a positive change.
Okay, thank you.
Apologize for that. On page 13, one more graph here. This is comparing your expenditures with your fund balance. At September 30, 2023, the city reflected a fund balance that is available to cover approximately 236 days, which is 7 to 8 months. And this doesn't factor in any transfers that may be made out to other funds. So again, the fund balance of June 30th has to carry you forward for a number of months, of course. And yours is a pretty, strong balance of 7 to 8 months of expenditures. We get the question a lot of time, well, what's the right answer? What's the right number of months to have in fund balance? And that really depends on each city. If you're more of a rural city, you don't need quite as much as maybe a city that's growing. For you guys, I think that 7 to 8 months in fund balance is pretty solid. You all are experiencing, just as the whole metro Atlanta area is, some growth, but it's not quite what it might be in some of the other cities closer in, but you all do need that strong fund balance to move forward with the plans that you all have. So it's a good, strong fund balance at September 30th. The next couple of pages talk about some of the other funds that you all have. You've got special revenue funds, capital project funds. All of the money that is in these funds is earmarked for certain purposes, like special purpose sales tax funds, any of your grant funds, things of that nature, where you really don't have, they have to be spent on certain things in accordance with state law. So that's why they're separated out from the general fund, because you can't use them for general operations. Your business type enterprise funds, you all have a water and sewer fund, solid waste fund, and stormwater funds. These funds together showed assets that have increased approximately $6.4 million over the previous year. Liabilities increased as well, approximately $3.6 million. And this is just due to increase in activity and increase in your in your, in the services that are provided under those 3 enterprise funds. The next page goes on to continue to talk about the business type activities. The revenues for those activities increased from 10.89 million to 11.96 million. That's a growth rate of about 9.8%. So, you know, again, these services that you all providing are increasing, whether it's an increase in customers, increase in rates, and so forth. So you do have increasing revenues for that. Also, expenses increased in these funds from approximately 8.6 million to 9.1 million. But your revenues are outpacing the expenses for those funds. So that's what's the most important part in these type of operations, whether it be water, sewer, solid waste, is that the costs are covered by the revenues that are generated. If we move to page 16 through 17, this is just a little bit of information about the various footnotes that are included within the financial statements. These footnotes provide a lot of detail behind the numbers that you see on the statements themselves, and really should be looked at when you look at the financial statements, the balance sheets, and income statements. Provide a good deal of information. We also mentioned on the bottom of page 17 that we did issue a compliance report. The Yellow Book report is what we refer to it as. The report is not intended to provide an opinion, but it's kind of a form of negative assurance on compliance and internal controls. We had no findings that were included in this report, no findings, significant deficiencies, or material weaknesses that were noted. On page 18, this is where, as I mentioned, we have certain things that we as auditors are required to communicate to you all under the standards that guide us. Most of this information is very similar to what we've communicated to you all in the past, so I just kind of hit a couple of things that are important to note. We had no, it's been noted on page 20, we had no audit adjustments during the audit process other than those that are made for the city's net pension obligation, and those are made because we don't usually have, the information is not even usually available once we're doing the audit, so that's just something that always gets adjusted. But other than that, we had no other audit adjustments that were made as part of the audit process. Again, as I mentioned, we had no findings, material weaknesses, or significant deficiencies. We also had nothing that came up as part of the audit process that we felt we needed to communicate to you all in the form of a recommendation. I will say, Jennifer, the finance department did an excellent job of making sure that controls are in place and that things run smoothly, and accounts are balanced and reconciled on a regular basis. So you all are very fortunate to have that team of individuals in your finance department. So again, no findings, no recommendations as part of the audit process. The remaining information that's included is information on any new Government Accounting Standards Board statements that are required to be implemented in the coming years. They never sleep. They're always looking for something to change as far as the reporting process, and so this is just some information on some of the standards that are out there going forward in the future. Nothing that we feel like is going to cause any kind of significant change to the reporting process for the city. And then we also, following that, present a little of information on some of the services that we provide for our clients in the form of continuing education and newsletters and so forth. So I know that was very brief, very quick, but I think you all you may have questions as you review the comprehensive annual financial report. So please let Jennifer know, and she can reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to discuss any questions that you might have going forward.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any questions from the council? I would just say it's a little harder sometimes when you're just now looking at it, and you gave us
Sure.
the brief overview. I did take note of the fact that you didn't have the recommendations. I can remember years where there was nothing blatantly wrong, but we'd get, this needs to be done a little differently or better, and so that's good to hear.
Yes,
So.
yes. Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you all.
Good reading. When you can't sleep. Do we have the proclamation? Because I don't have a copy. Oh, I'll pull it up and read it from there. Thanks, that'll be good, because I don't have it pulled up. I'm good. I didn't have it opened up. I thought I was going to have a hard copy. So, we are recognizing May, if you didn't know it, May is Older Americans Month proclamation. So we recognize our older citizens. So earlier we did get the Parks and Recreation Department was here, and the senior department does come under them. And so they did share with us a little bit about some of the activities they do. And to be honest, it really is pretty impressive. For someone who has, seniors in their family, to have a place to go. Some of these seniors play pickleball. It just depends on the age. Other ones just want to get together, play games, and have have a meal together. And so it really is a quality of life event. Service that exists, and they also do some field trips together. So she was able to share that. I'm just going to read the proclamation, since that's what we're recognizing. Whereas the city of Villa Rica includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas the city of Villa Rica is stronger when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to make their mark, and whereas the city of Villa Rica recognizes the importance of physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being of its citizens, and whereas the city of Villa Rica recognizes the need to create a community that offers the services older adults may need to make choices about how they age, and whereas the city of Villa Rica can support our aging community members by promoting independence, inclusion, and participation, engaging older adults through recreation, education, and services, and connecting people with opportunities to share their time, experience, and talents. Now therefore be it resolved that May 2024 be designated as Older Americans Month in the city of Villa Rica. We urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging, and remember to listen to your elders. I added that part. As we were taught when we were growing up. Right, under governing body, item 3 is appointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioner for Ward 4 seat. Councilwoman McCoy, you heading that one up?
Yes, I just wanted to say I had a bunch of great applications. I would rather have more applications than not enough, so I appreciate everyone. And I am appointing Marilyn Glass. She lives in my ward, and I'm not going to tell you where she lives just in case, but she lives in my ward, and I think it'd be important to have someone from Mirror Lake on planning and zoning. That has kind of been the tradition, and I am making this appointment from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025. So I move to approve the appointment of Marilyn Glass to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the term of January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Forget I can't vote. Unanimous. And the louder you say that, the better, so it can get picked up on the audio. Thank you. Now, item 4, amendment to the Villa Rica Code of Ordinances, Chapter 4, Alcohol Beverages, Section 4-37, Special Use Permit. This does have a public hearing.
Mayor, the purpose of this proposed change is that currently our temporary permit allows the sale of beer and wine at special events. there's been a request to change that, the beer and wine, to alcohol, so whoever the caterer or the person that is, has a special permit license would be able to sell whatever type of alcohol their license would allow them to sell. So if they had a license that allowed them to sell beer and wine, they could sell beer and wine. If they had a license that allowed them to sell beer, wine, and distilled spirits, they could sell all three. So that's what this ordinance would change.
It's mainly being done for the special events, maybe specifically the concerts downtown.
That's right.
Okay. Council, any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. I'm
Oh.
sorry, public hearing?
Yeah, public hearing.
All right, and I said this does have a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this item?
Marisol Melendez, 634 Rockmart Road. So we will potentially be the catering group for Los Cowboys selling at the concerts potentially. We are requesting just so we can sell margaritas to the guests as well. We were selling it because it is an alcohol entertainment district now. So we were previously allowed to sell margaritas from the restaurant, and people were able to bring them down to the concerts and enjoy the concerts and a good time. And we just want to be able to do that here at the event at the amphitheater.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the entertainment district runs from, if you think of where Hickstown Tavern is, to the end of those stores, on
right
up
here.
to here, and the mill it's by special
Right, it's
exception.
special exception.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we are requesting this.
Any questions, council? Good. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this item? Okay, I'll refer back to the council for a motion.
Okay, I move to approve the amendment to the Villa Rica Ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 4-38, attached hereto, to be effective immediately.
We have a motion.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
It passed. 4-1.
4-1. Item 5, South Harbor Unit 2A, final plat. Mr. Drummond, this is your item.
This is a request from South Harbor to change the square footage requirements. The current plat requires a ranch house plan of 2,600 square foot, a two-story house plan of 3,000 square foot, with an average square footage of 3,100 square feet. They are requesting a change to a 2,600 square foot minimum heated space, a minimum square footage of 3,000 square foot with an average square footage of 3,100. I believe the cover sheet's wrong, but the numbers I just called out are what they are actually requesting. If I need to repeat that, I'm happy to. Repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. What they're asking for is a 2,600 square foot minimum heated space with a 3,000 square foot minimum square footage with an average square footage of 3,100 in the subdivision.
So the smallest square footage would be 2,600 feet, but they have to have of heated.
Yeah.
And so they have to have an average, though, of all the homes have to be at least 3,100 square foot heated.
That's correct.
How many are in this? This is just for South Harbor 2A. How many units are in South Harbor 2A?
Okay, I'm gonna have to refer to staff.
Okay. It's over there. And then what would be the minimums and averages in the other portions of South Harbor?
The ones that aren't built?
Correct. I mean, what are the requirements in the other portions of South Harbor?
further.
I'm using my finger. Approximately 45 lots are in South Harbor 2A. And about 20 of them has already been built by Heatherland Homes in there. And what was the other? I'm sorry. I was coming up and didn't hear the other question.
What is the minimum and the average of the other lots and the other portions of South Harbor, or in the other sections of South Harbor?
Well, when South Harbor, all of Mirror Lake was done back in the early 2000s, late 90s, there was no stipulations on that PUD about any size anywhere. The developers took it on themselves to make sections that had, some of the sections had bigger homes, and then some sections had medium and small, to make it a true, kind of PUD area where it's affordable for many different people. And what we realized after the downturn, and it sat dormant forever, and we talked to the owner of the land, the developers, that they were about to sell off some of these pods in there, that there was no stipulations. So basically they could come into South Harbor 2A there, and then later on 2B, and build a 1,500 square foot house. And so that's when Bobby and staff and Tom directed us to work this out and then negotiate with the landowner and the developer to get the best product that we could, because we were at a disadvantage in that, but I thought we got a pretty good deal with how to work that and to protect the existing neighborhoods in the community and keep like-minded. So we took like a water mist that was going to add another pod. We looked at all the surrounding homes in that close proximity and then mirrored that in all of our negotiations and putting this together. South Harbor 2A was not part of that because it was already pre-developed before this negotiation went on. And so basically we cut it. We worked with Heatherland Homes to say, look, we've got this size homes in here, and we want to keep that. And we put in the, total brick or 70% brick, stone, and things like that, which are still in this agreement. And the only difference was in that original agreement on the secondary agreement on South Harbor Unit 2A that we had with Heatherland Homes, where we put minimum square footage for two-story homes, it didn't specify heated. So when this next outfit came in to buy this, they submitted plans that showed a total square footage of about 3,000 square foot, but the heated was around 27 and 28, and so we denied them. We said, look, this is heated. They disputed that. The industry standard is if you say square footage, it means heated. I've been in this business a long time, and that's in many states. But they kind of construed it to their own, looking at that. And so this is the agreement that their attorneys and ours worked out that we thought was pretty darn close to what the original intent was, and holding that to that 3,100 square foot average throughout the unit. Yes, ma'am.
Why are we redoing the square? Because I was at the meeting that they went and did. I think it was ranches were supposed to be 2,800. Why are we redoing this?
I'll let Kevin answer that.
We got a letter from an attorney in late last year asking us to reconsider it and saying that the conditions that the city placed on it when the first plat was approved were never approved by the declarant of the subdivision and without their knowledge. I don't know if that's the case or not. That's what the attorney claim. They are now claiming also in the letter that they're trying to sell some of these lots and are unable to sell the lots with the current conditions.
Okay, this weekend I did actually go over there and look at the houses, and I mean, one reason they might not be able to sell them is because they're $700,000. But other than that, that might be a reason. But one of the things I noticed was in two of the houses that were actually completed, their yards are very small over there, and the houses are very close together for that price point. So I'm not quite understanding what their hardship is exactly. It's from what I'm hearing from you is they didn't like that stipulation and they found a loophole to get around it. I guess you can neither confirm nor deny that.
I can tell you this is what they're asking you to consider.
Okay.
And I don't know if anyone's here from South Harbor.
Well, and we'll do that as soon as we're done with questions here. If the applicant is here, we'll have the applicant
Yeah.
up. But first, we'll see if there's any more questions for staff. I think for me, in a nutshell here, no matter what happened in the past, I mean like way in the past, I think we ought to start from where we put in our requirements and what got built after that. So it sounds to me, you said part of it was already built out. Was that under?
No, ma'am. The development itself was, the infrastructure was in. So you had the curbs and gutters and the first coat of.
And that's why everything we had to go back and we had to check everything, right, to make sure it was still working, because it's what you call, what did they call them, PVC pipe neighborhoods or something, where the infrastructure was there, but then everything went, in the downturn, everything stopped. So we did put in requirements for what, I guess I would say, I'm trying to make this simple so that we all understand it, based on what was already around it, correct? Because we wanted to make sure whatever came in after that would be very similar in size. I expect so that the people around them that had already built would maintain their value of their community or homes, correct? That would be the only reason for us to not say, okay, you can put in a 1,500, right? Is there any other reason? Yeah, Mr. Elliott, if you want to interject on this, because I know you have some background with it. And just make it as clear as possible. I know there's a lot of years and decades of background with this, but.
This particular section had already been previously.
Is the mic on?
Yeah. It was previously platted already. But. No.
That's
but it's been sitting for years and years and years. All the infrastructure was in, but just turned off. All the water system was turned off, everything. So everything had to be re-inspected, retested, everything. All the water services checked, all that, because it had been sitting so long. So what we did is we decided to have it replatted. You can plat the final plat as many times as you want. But the reason we decided to replat it is we needed a start date for the maintenance bond that goes with the infrastructure that had been sitting there forever and ever and ever. But what we decided to do before we had it replatted is this particular section had no conditions on it. None. Zero. Build 12, 14, 1,500 square foot houses. During this master plan rework, we knew that. And as I stated earlier today, if we didn't try to impose some kind of conditions on this comparable to South Harbor 1, I think I used, clubs and pitchforks and fires and everything else to burn, So that's why we put these conditions on here. And the owner had to have known it because he had it recorded. They were okay with it. But now, since the market's turned a little bit, they're having issues selling them and building a house on them. But I'm the one that insisted on putting these conditions on here just to protect surrounding neighborhood and the city of Billerica.
Okay, and I can understand why they feel the need to alter since interest rates have gone up and inflation, as you spoke to the price of homes. Councilman Warmoth.
I'm just going to say, if I never hear the word loophole again, I'm just saying. When a real estate agent lists a house, they include only the heated square footage, the livable space. They do not include your unfinished basement or your garage space. So when the builder recorded that plat, they agreed to the terms that we set forth, correct?
That is correct. And Heatherland, which built the probably 18, 20 homes in there already, abided by that.
Right.
And we held them to that. And most of those were a lot bigger than that, the minimums. I mean, they've got some 5,000 square foot, heated square foot in there, some 4,000. So they're really comparable to, what's in the first. Yes, it's, I think the new owner, I guess, or the person that's looking to buy this is the one that's, yeah.
Well, again, they agreed to those terms.
That is correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman McCoy.
I had two questions, but you just. I'm sorry, my mic wasn't on. Is Heatherland moving out? Are they not going to finish the neighborhood?
They're trying to sell the lots to somebody else. They're, my understanding, and this is just hearsay in the real estate, is they're not moving the homes as fast as they'd like. They're having trouble selling them size homes, so they're wanting to get in a lower price point market and trying to sell these lots to we've had actually a couple different builders look at that property to buy from Heatherland.
So I understand y'all correctly. That means that the 20 or so houses that are built by that are currently built by Heatherland, they're trying to sell the plots to be built by another builder.
The remaining lots.
The remain or
Yes,
whatever the
yes,
remaining
ma'am.
lots
Yes,
are
ma'am.
to be. And just to preface that I mean, Bobby said it way more succinctly than I can, but that infrastructure sat there for about 15 years, correct? Okay, so my other question, I have two more questions, I'm sorry. My other question is, I know there supposed to be a South Harbor 2B, correct?
That is correct. And all that was, I'll let Bobby speak on it. He was the head negotiator on this, but it is in our revised Mirror Lake PUD.
So will someone be coming to us when they do decide to do this, to say this exact same thing?
Well, the South Harbor 2B.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not even developed yet, right?
But they're going to have these conditions on it.
Okay, that was my question. They're going to have these conditions that we're looking at today. Okay, yeah.
Right, because that was the
2B was part of the PUD revision.
right.
They'll have these that when they go into
The original.
the one Kevin just talked about.
Are these conditions the same as the PUD revision?
No.
They are really, really, yeah, they are.
That's where you got them.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you how we got these numbers. Not to toot my own horn, but I surveyed all of South Harbor Unit 1 with all the square footages and came up with a number. That's how I did it, to try to keep things comparable.
Right.
Because I knew what was going to happen if something, if we didn't go that route.
Okay, and my last question, I promise, Bobby, for this cycle. My last question is, when y'all you said you replatted South Harbor. Yeah, two, the one that we're talking about now. When it was replatted, did the square footage of the lots go down?
No.
Okay, so
The lots that are there today,
Mhm.
if you took the final plat that was recorded back in the day and laid the new one on top, they're identical.
okay, that was gonna be
Yeah.
that was my question.
Yeah.
All right.
Councilman Momtahan?
Okay, Kevin, so when this issue was first presented, I think I was worried about the words vested rights with the original plat that was filed. But now, from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, 2A was replatted. That replat included these conditions, correct? At 2,600 square foot minimum for a ranch, 3,000 square foot for a two-story with an average square foot of 3,100 square foot, all heated. Those conditions were on that replat, and that replat was filed. And approximately 20 houses were built based upon that replat. Is that correct? Not correct?
The only thing I would correct on that is it did not say heated square footage.
But nevertheless,
the numbers were the same.
So Heatherland built approximately 20 houses.
I'd have to get with my building official, but I think it's 18 to 20 houses.
Okay, but they built a good number of houses out of the 45 potential lots with that requirement on it. So, Kevin, my question for you is, now they're coming back and they're asking for these proposed these changing conditions. And that's what they're asking for, and that's what you're recommending. If we reject your recommendation and deny this amendment, what standards would apply to South Harbor 2A? Would it be the replatted conditions that are on file?
If the plat's not, the revised plat's not approved, then they've got the conditions of the previously approved final plat. Is that answering your question?
Correct, which is the replatted version that Heatherland Homes built 18 to 20 homes on.
That's correct.
Based upon.
That's correct.
And they're arguing that, well, it didn't say heated. And I think I agree with Tracy, and I think everyone else has said it up here. When someone says a square foot of a home, everyone knows it means heated. I've looked at many final plats, and I've never seen the word heated on there, but I think everybody knows that. So then my next question for you is, if we do not take their recommendation this evening and what they're asking for, and we stick with what is already replatted, which my understanding is a larger product, what do you feel, what's going to happen next?
I don't know. I mean,
you've spoken with their lawyers, I assume, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I could envision is they apply for a building permit like they have, it's denied, and they take action on the denial of the building permit.
Okay. And so your recommendation is to essentially avoid any kind of controversy and give them what they've asked for, because they haven't asked for anything from anything else, right?
They've
all
agreed
the
to all
other
the architectural standards.
Right.
And I'm not a builder, but talking to the experts from the outside, this should look like a similar product than what's out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
One more comment I would have, though, if it is approved, I would like on the plat, you will see where they've drawn in future unit 3 that the council's not considering or approving anything in any future unit 3 at this point. They're not asking us to, but it's actually drawn on the plat, and I just want to make that clear on the plat. We're not making any decisions on that unit.
We call it 2A and 2B, not 2 and 3.
Right.
So don't be confused.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions for staff, is the applicant here? Okay, then,
I've got a question.
okay, yes, sir.
Kevin, would it be possible to add to if we approve this revised set of conditions, that the average square footage would be for houses yet to be built and not all of 2A? Because if what Tracy's saying is they built some bigger houses, let's say that there's a 3,500 foot average out there right now, they could build the other half at 2,500 and still hit the average of 31. So how about if we make it just houses to be built?
What was your example, 2,500?
I'm just saying
I understand.
if they built, if the 18 houses are an average of 3,500 square feet, and they build another 20-something, they could more easily hit the 3,100 average or whatever we're going to require them, because they built more than that. I want to ignore the Heatherland part.
Right, they can't use those in their
be
square
included
footage
in the
calculation.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the size, to that point, with the size homes that they've already built in there, they could build the minimum out and still meet that average, like Tom's saying.
2,600.
2,600.
That's an important point. Thank you. If there are any more questions for staff at this time, not that we can't, we can do a public hearing. Yes. That's okay.
I just want to make clear, so mostly so I'm clear and everyone else is clear. Because sometimes you read these things and you interpret it one way, and then everybody comes up and talks and puts their opinion in, and it gets jumbled in your mind, or it comes out a different way. So what you were saying is, when the original PUD was done, we said whatever 3,400 square feet average, or whatever the number was. That included, they interpreted that as it is including garage space and not heated space, even though the common theme in real estate is that when you say 3,400, it's heated space, because no one wants a 2,500 square foot house with 2,000 of it being their garage. So, is heated space. So they're wanting to lower the square footage, but it only be the industry standard square footage of the heated, not the garage, because there's just a little bit of confusion.
That is correct. And on the second line, total house plan refers to the 3,000 square feet as total with the garage and all, and 2,600 on the heated is how they've got it on this.
Okay, so in reality, we're not necessarily lowering the total square footage of the house. We're just lowering, in theory.
Well, the way it was interpreted by the original builder, they knew it was 3,000 square foot heated, and then most of them put 3-car garages, which added another 600 square feet to the total. So we're, minimum there, they were about at 3,600 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So overall, you're going to get a smaller product.
Okay, that was my.
Overall, you're just going to get a smaller product because.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was my question.
The site conditions that were previously in place, that was from us, from the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That says that 2,600 square foot on the ranch house was the minimum heated space.
Correct.
Okay, and then the 2 stories, 3,000 heated space.
Right.
Right. Just
Okay,
right.
and then they're saying what they're proposing is a house plan of 2,600 square foot total. Is that right?
No, they're proposing a 2,600 square foot heated, a total of 3,000.
Oh, whether it's 2-story or not.
I don't think
So that-
regardless.
they're not planning on doing any 2-story.
Got it.
Okay, that makes better sense. Thank you.
Okay, that does. Yeah. Thank you.
I
think
got-
they could
I got
build a
another
2-story.
question for
I guess they
Kevin.
technically, but they're not talking about it. Yeah.
All right, Kevin, how about
Maybe
this?
a question.
Can we also put in the condition that the average has to be maintained with each permit?
So they can't
In other
front
words,
load
they
or back
can't-
load.
They can't build a bunch of little ones to start with and then go, well, we're not going to build anymore.
And back out. Yeah.
Whereas if they have to maintain the average, the only way they can build under the average would be if they're over the average on previously built homes.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're guaranteed to get the average regardless of how many houses they build. That make sense?
I think we just deny it. That's where I'm at.
The point is that they knew what they were getting when they got into this. They agreed to it when they filed the plat. When they recorded the plat is when they knew exactly what it was that they were getting into.
They should have.
Well, they should have.
Whether they did or not, we don't know.
And we'll see if they can find a real estate expert to tell us otherwise if we deny it tonight.
Yeah.
Listen, even if you feel for them, because the market's rough right now. At the same time, if you do your due diligence, when you buy something, you kind of got to know, what the rules and regulations are going into it. And if you don't, it's your obligation to know that. Just like when you buy into development with HOA and they have covenants. If you don't like the covenants, you may not want to move in there, but it's your job to read them because you're going to be held to them. In this case, we have an opportunity to change if we wanted, but that'll be up to the will of the council. There is, Mr. Drummond, there is not a public hearing next to this, are we?
That's correct.
Okay, so, because I know there was some statements at the beginning in regard to it. And the only last thing I'd ask, is it accurate also that these lots are on prime property, lake, golf course, that type of thing?
We have several lots that back up to the lake. Not so much the golf course, but the lake. If you,
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I had. All right, what is the will of the council on this?
Councilwoman McCoy, it's your ward.
I move to deny the amendment to the current square footage requirements as proposed in the revised final plat Mirror Lake at South Harbor Unit 2A.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. I have the mic. All right, we'll move on to B, Community Development. Number 1, ABL-03-24, Public Supermarkets, Inc. And this does have a public hearing. Whitney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to present the application for Public Supermarkets Incorporated for alcoholic beverage license to sell retail packaged malt beverages and wine at the tentative new business location of 103 Mirror Lake Connector, Suite 200. The applicant has complied with the city's ordinance in regards to legal notification requirements. The licensee has successfully passed the background check conducted by the City of Villa Rica's Police Department. There are no location zoning restrictions that would hinder the issuance of the license. The applicant currently holds a valid license at the location that stands now, and the licensee will be changing, which is why they're here, because the license cannot be transferred. And staff does recommend approval of the application, and I do have the applicant, who's actually a representative as well for the corporation, here tonight, just in case.
Okay, any questions for Whitney? Do you want to let the applicant, if the applicant's here and would like to say anything? No, if you don't, it's okay, you don't have to. We don't require it, it's all right. It's not very complicated, is my understanding is basically we have someone else going as the applicant, or it's the relocation
Yeah, so
of Publix from.
Publix will be the applicant, and Mr. Torres will be the licensee, which is
The
change.
licensee is different.
Right.
And the location of Publix will obviously be different for anybody that's driven on Mirror Lake Boulevard recently.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions from council? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, and I said, public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak for or against this item? Last chance? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I don't, usually the city attorney will read the statement to the applicant regarding the underage seller.
With the alcohol?
Yes.
I wasn't even thinking about that with a grocery store, but it's true, they have to card too. Mr. Drummond, you want to read that statement, or whoever has it? Mr. Mecklin has it in his head, he doesn't need it written.
I do not have it in writing, but I know the gist
Okay,
of it.
so this is for the applicant, this is our little warning about being careful with underage purchasers.
Just so you're aware, the city does take the sale of alcohol to minors very seriously. A condition of your license is that you not do that. They will occasionally send in underage people in an attempt to purchase alcohol from you, and if you sell to them, your license will be in jeopardy. You understand that? Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Public comment in regard to this item? All righty, I'll entertain a motion.
I don't have it pulled up, but, oh, it's behind me, okay. I make a motion to approve the alcohol license application for Public Supermarkets, Inc., located at 103 Mirror Lake Connector, going to Future B, Villa Rica Parkway, Suite 200, Villa Rica, Georgia 30180.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
It has passed.
4-1. All right, number 2, ABL-04-24, Arondis Inc., DBA Los Cowboys Mexican Restaurant.
All right, this is an application. It's kind of a 2-for-1. They are looking to amend the current restaurant pouring license that they hold, as well as adding the designation for alcohol catering to the license at Los Cowboys Mexican Restaurant, 113 Main Street. The applicant has complied with the ordinance, successfully passed the background check conducted by the Villa Rica Police Department. There was no legal noticing required, being that this is a transfer of the license. The current license holder or licensee is deceased, and we'll just be transferring that. They have not changed locations at all. The amendment to the ordinance apparently has been approved, and looks like the consent agenda also holds them entering into license agreements with Villa Rica Main Street to provide beer, wine, and alcohol sales at 5 upcoming events hosted at the Mill Amphitheater. And I move to approve the alcohol license application for Los Cowboys Mexican Restaurant.
You don't actually get to make the motion, but that's okay.
Well, I recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Mr. Drummond, this did not list that we needed to have a public hearing, and we're not doing one, right? Because I know sometimes we've done one. Okay. All right, so if there's no questions for staff, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the alcohol license application.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Passed 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, B3, VA-04-24 and VA-06-24, buffer variance for new development at Baker Industrial. Do I need to read the parcel? Okay, good. Mr. Daniels, and this will have a public hearing. This is over off Liberty Road.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. Now we have an applicant for Baker Industrial Court, parcel V0600700144. The applicant actually applied for 2 buffer variances. The first one is to deviate from the 75-foot buffer for a new industrial low-density I-1 zone parcel. abutting a existing agricultural lot. And the second variance is pertaining to waiving the 75-foot impervious buffer and encroaching on the city-regulated 50-foot stream buffer.
Council questions or concerns, opinions? We discussed this quite a bit during the work session, but nonetheless, here we are, and we will be having a public hearing. So even if there's certain points that you want to make sure you understand or are clear, go ahead and do it now. We did not get to hear from the applicant, so we'll do that next.
Yes,
if they're
ma'am.
here.
And I'll go ahead and make a quick synopsis about what's going on with this parcel.
Please do.
The red circle is where the parcel the applicant is proposing to have. It is inside a gray light color code. This is our city ordinance map. And this map right here is showing that the lot is actually I-1 zoned. And as you can see, this lot is actually surrounded by a bunch of green. The green are agricultural lots and parcels. There is some same use parcels that are actually adjacent to the east of the proposed parcel. And that yellow thick line right there towards the southeast of the parcel is actually our city limits, and that's going into the county of Carroll County. And those ones to the south are also agricultural lots. This is an aerial view of the proposed lot. There is a gas pipeline to the north of the parcel. It's actually in that little line that's right there. It's light brown. Those actually require a 50-foot easement that actually go on both sides of that parcel where no building or constructing can be encroached on that. There actually is a unmanned creek that runs through the parcel. It goes north of the parcel and goes all the way down to the center area of the parcel and then deviates west of the parcel. As you can see, there are some residential occupants. Oh, okay.
That'll help everyone else.
Yes, thank you. There are actually some, let me get this to work. There are actually some agricultural residential occupants are actually to the southwest of the proposed parcel. I think there's maybe 10 smaller parcels of residential single-family uses, but again, those are all agricultural zoned, and there are also a subdivision north of that as well, and that's inside the agricultural zone area as well. Now, this is a rough rendition of where the proposed building will be located at. It'll actually be a warehouse and distribution center, and the applicant can allude a little bit more when they actually come up here and discuss about it. It'll actually be a 418,000 square foot warehouse. This proposed development will actually have 54 truck stalls towards the south of the proposed building, as well as 266 car spaces that'll be towards the north of that proposed building, as well towards the west of it. The applicant has expressed that they don't have any tenants that will be leasing this proposed building as of yet, but they would like to see if they can have either one or two applicants actually occupy this proposed warehouse. Now, for the first variance, is pertaining to a table 7.8. This is the table right here. As you can see on that top right corner right there, it says new industrial developments, which is what the applicant is actually proposing. It is actually inside the I-1 zone right there, and then as well as the existing abutting residences on that left-hand side right there, and those are pertaining to the agricultural lots that are adjacent to the proposed lot. If you meet those two together, go down over and then also go down, that actually has a 4 there, and that means the buffer type. And the buffer types are on table 7.9, and the buffer types are have a little more information that's actually right here on the bottom right corner, and those are any developer will have to meet a buffer width requirement, and that is for 75 feet. It can. They also will have to have a either opaque fence or wall, and it has to be a minimum of 8 feet as well. The developer can actually deviate from that and actually do a landscape material type of buffer, but it does have to be that 50-foot or 75-foot width between those two parcels. Now here's a little bit more, I guess, blown up version of the proposed building here. As you can see, in the blue is the 75-foot buffer city requirement. That's actually here on the north of the parcel and on the west of the parcel as well. The proposed parcel that the applicant is trying to achieve is to have a reduction of the 70-foot parcel or a 70-foot required buffer to a 10-foot vegetative buffer instead of the 75-foot. Now, the second of the two variances are actually highlighted in this red box right here, as well as it is blown up on the left-hand side. And the applicant will not encroach on the 25-foot state buffer, but the applicant is trying to see if they cannot waive the 75-foot impervious buffer that we have, as well as the city-regulated 50-foot stream buffer. The applicant is trying to see if they can't encroach that. And that is shown on a little shading right here. This area right here is actually the 75-foot wave stream buffer, impervious buffer that they're trying to waive. And then it's a little bit right up in this area, and that is encroaching our city-regulated stream buffer. We do have some staff recommendations for council, and for the reduction of table 7.8, applicable buffer yard types, the city actually will make a recommendation to deny this reduction of the 75-foot buffer in place of a 10-foot planted setback. And a few reasons, most importantly, is because that buffer, 70-foot buffer, is served to mitigate potential negative impacts. It can it mitigates noise, pollution, as well as visual intrusion of two different land use abutting parcels. And again, this is self-imposed as well. And then for the latter of the two variances, City Council actually proposes to or make a recommendation to deny this as well. And this is for the Section 900 stream buffer protection, and waive the impervious buffer and encroach the 50-foot stream buffer. Reasons is the benefits do not outweigh the detriments and is self-imposed.
Hey, council, questions for staff before we bring the applicant up?
I just want to say that was very helpful, Sean. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It was, thank you. The visuals make a big difference, and I know it's not the same as being out there and trying to see how far it is from housing or whatever, but we can get some of that with the satellite view. Any other questions for Mr. Daniel? Is Mr. Dickinson here?
Mr. Dixon? We do actually have the developers actually here, or the engineers.
Okay, all
I
right.
want to say something.
Hello, I'm Clay Rickard, 4744 Nopon Road, Gainesville, Georgia. I'm the engineer representing Grind Capital Group, the developer of this Class A warehouse. What we've done is attempt to, I guess, create an economically viable project for the city that will be a good source of revenue, tax revenue, and high-quality jobs for the residents of the city, while also balancing the needs of the surrounding residents as well as the environmental concerns. The site certainly has some challenges due to some rock being shallow and the stream buffer kind of encroaching into the area that we would want to develop, but we've tried to do our best to mitigate for the stream buffer by pushing as far away from the stream as possible, which is why we've are requesting respectfully a variance for the buffer between us and the property to the north and the west. The property to the north has the benefit of a 50-foot gas easement that can't ever be built on. So it's like an open space. It's, effectively separation between this project and the proposed project. Or separation between this project and the proposed neighbor. On the west, our client is trying to obtain an easement from the neighbor for grading onto their property. So that's the kind of the technical presentation of what we're proposing to do. We certainly are minimizing to the greatest extent feasible the encroachment into the 75-foot impervious setback and the stream buffer, while also completely staying out of the 25-foot state stream buffer. I don't know if you guys have any questions about that or.
I know I can only speak for myself. With the stream buffers, I personally am usually okay with what the state requires. I know we require more at least, and if we don't go inside that 25.
Yes, ma'am.
And for myself, I know we require maybe an 8-foot fence or something like that. My concern is the residential area. Y'all are putting up in pretty much what we have industrial over there. But if you're the neighbors behind, what I'm looking for is, are they going to be looking out their windows or their backyard and there's an 8-foot fence and there's this humongous building, and or with the trucks and that type of thing, if we decrease the buffer, what are they going to hear compared to if they have that additional footage? That's not something we tend to know right off the bat, and we're relying on staff to give us some guidance on decreasing that buffer. And specifically, when I heard that 8-foot fence and I started thinking about the large building, what it was going to be for those people that are really in an agricultural area at South Wilson is definitely agricultural. Is Maple Valley, it's zoned agricultural as well? Okay, so that's just a concern of mine. I don't know if you can address that in any way. Otherwise, I'll just throw that out there, and I'll let council ask any other questions they may have of you, or if you have anything else to present.
Okay. Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Will Moore. I'm with the developer, 45 Champions View Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia is my address. So I will address that for you. We believe there is significant buffer between actual houses and where the building will be. On the houses that you're talking about on South Wilson Street, those are on the other side of the creek, and the building pad is on the northern side of the creek. So there will be about a 200 to 250 foot buffer between those residential houses and where the actual building pad will be. On the northern side of the property, there's Robert Canjimmy's property that runs to the northern section of ours.
Mhm.
And then there are houses to the northern section of that. So on the northern part of our property, there aren't actually houses within about 450 feet of the building pad. And on the west side of the property, that is all agriculture and woods. So we have plans to put up a vegetative buffer. We have looked at your landscape requirements, and we believe if we do landscape very tall trees, in a sense, I know Clay, you can probably speak on the types of trees, but we feel those big, tall, wide trees, and we put those in a line, we feel that will significantly reduce the amount of noise and visual. We'd rather put up trees than fences, in a sense. For the residents around, it may look better if, hey, there's big trees, vegetation that will conceal the noise and it will conceal the look, but at the same time, we're able to have this development here. And we do believe that this development will bring a lot of jobs for Villa Rica. The reason we're asking for this variance is because it will add a marketability for the site for a better tenant. Our plans are for a 418,000 square foot building. There's no supply like that in the I-20 West really submarket, and we believe that this size building will attract a high quality tenant that will hopefully bring a lot of jobs into the city. as well as currently tax revenue wise, the parcel is currently bringing around $5,200 in tax revenue, and this development will significantly increase tax revenue brought into the city. All in all, we do have a tenant coming in 2 weeks to tour the site. It's confidential right now. We're under NDA, so we cannot publicly say who the company is, but I can assure you it's not a distribution tenant, and we believe that these variances, if they are approved today, it will lead us to hopefully get a great tenant that will increase jobs in Villa Rica, as well as increase tax revenue for the city. So we would thank you guys for your time. We would really like you to consider approving these variances.
I do agree that a green buffer, especially if it's thick enough and high enough, is preferred even over a fence visually and sound-wise. You notice even when you drive around here, when the foliage is off, the difference you hear in sound compared to, when you have your evergreens there, nice and thick and heavy and tall. What do we, Mr. Barber, what do we have that guarantees what's going to be there as far as that buffer?
Which buffer? The top one?
Between the residents and where they are.
On which side?
Okay, so that would be the west and south, right? Let's look at. Well, okay. So on the north, are we approaching the people that are along Edge Road?
Is there,
Danny, that's your ward.
is there a clip there?
Help us out here. Well, there's Maple Valley, so
We're adjacent to residential ag property on
thanks.
a house for a long distance, because it's a big parcel.
okay.
But on the southwest corner, that's where you're right up against.
The southwest corner is South Wilson, correct?
South Wilson, at the end of South Wilson.
Is it the end of the?
He lives there. Well, not there, but
Maple Valley's over here.
okay.
Yeah, this is all trees to the left. There's a house that owner owns a house about right here, but this is all agriculture and it's just trees. And there are houses to this southern portion, but the building pad's about I'd say 250
That's the
feet.
one we were talking about.
Yes, ma'am. And that stream buffer variance is very minimal. We're asking for that just for the truck court purposes. The market rate for a truck court is about 135 feet, so we really need even just that little section. That would really help with just the marketability of the building and having a standard rate truck court, which is 135 feet.
Okay. Council, any more questions for the applicant? Well, in this case, who's representing the applicant?
My only question, I guess, pertaining to this is that if the building were smaller, you all would not be needing as many of these variances as you are today. Why can't we just have a smaller building?
Yeah, so I can go into background a little over the property. So Prologis is actually one of the largest industrial developers in the country. They had this property under contract, and they had to back out of it due to cost prohibitive reasons. There are a lot of the site has a lot of hair on it, as we say. It has some groundwater issues, which cost a lot of money, to be honest with you, as well as some rock issues, which increase costs, as well as to the northern part of the property. Without the variance, there would be a significant amount of retaining walls. So from the developer standpoint, to make this deal really economically feasible, these variances would help us, number one, as I said, attract the highest quality tenant, but also help reduce costs in some ways that will allow us to get this deal through the finish line.
Maybe you can explain to me, so if you built a smaller building, you'd have to build some retaining walls? Is that what I heard?
Well, if we build a smaller building, yes, the retaining walls to the northern part of the property. If we stay out of the setbacks, if we stay out of the buffer, then we'll have to build a generous amount of retaining walls to the northern part of the property. If we encroach on the buffer as we were requesting, we feel like we can reduce those costs drastically. On the northern part of the property, we do feel like this natural gas pipeline easement that's nobody's able to build on, although it's on Mr. Kanjimi's property, we do feel like that acts as a natural buffer for the northern property because nothing's able to be built on it. But yes, I understand what you're saying about the smaller building, but from a marketability perspective of the building, we think this is going to, after talking with our brokers and going through competitive set in the market, I-20 West market, we do believe that this size building will bring in the highest quality tenant.
I mean, it appears though that you could trim down some of the west side of that, and then you wouldn't need the 75-foot buffer to be minimized if you did that. So, can you talk on the? I mean, you addressed the north side, but what about the west side there?
No, yeah, totally understandable. So on this west side, from our perspective, there are retaining walls that would go all the way down this side. As Clay mentioned earlier, we're trying to work with the property owner to the west to get a grading easement on their property. So instead of having to build retaining walls all the way down this line right here, we would obtain a grading easement from this property owner, and we would slope the grade down to their property, so it would decrease the amount of retaining walls, any retaining walls that would be needed on this west side of the property.
Council, any more questions for staff or the applicant before we go to the public hearing?
My question's for Sean. One of the reasons, and I can't find it right now, for denial was the sound buffer, correct? Or is that not right?
Yes, it does actually, having that that 75-foot buffer actually reduces noise.
Is it adequate enough even, I mean, I don't know what type of trees they are, but like wintertime, when those trees are bare.
It'll be very minimal, but depending on what the developers will actually pick on the trees, they can actually, it has to be regulated, or the trees they have to pick has to be inside our city ordinance, but they can actually do evergreens, which will actually stay green all year long.
And is that what the plan is to do the?
Something in the family of like a Leland cypress and those type of things. That's
Yes,
what, they need to stay green and thick all year.
Exactly, and we are open to the city's request, and if there's really something you guys would like, we are open to doing what you guys prefer in this situation.
The Leland cypresses would provide a year-round visual screen. They don't drop the leaves, and they provide visual imperviousness.
I have a question. You was saying that you were gonna see if the property owners would let y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. You was saying that you would see if the property owners would let you all encroach on their, do an easement on their. Have they said that they were gonna do this?
We have been in conversations with them. We're talking about compensation and kind of the structure of how that would look like, but no, we do not have.
They haven't agreed.
We do not have something inked with them, which is, yes.
Mr. Barber, you wanted to interject? You were doing this before we went to.
Questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Go.
All right, so Councilman Montahan asked about the west buffers, and you talked about the sloping, but what happens if you take out the variance on the west and just shorten the building?
Right, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, there'd be significant retaining walls on this side of the property, which would significantly just add to cost in total of the project. And Clay, I don't know if you want to interject on that, but.
So is there is there a topo issue here that you would need a retaining wall if you don't build it out? I mean, is the plan that you're going to like fill it in and flatten it out or grade it fully out? Is that what you're trying to do, and that's why you don't need the retaining walls for a larger building?
So there are a need for retaining walls even with this plan, but this helps minimize the heights of those retaining walls, which helps this project be viable. If we try to do it and have huge retaining walls, the viability of the project just kind of disappears, and it's not economically feasible anymore.
I guess that's I don't know. I mean, just imagining a smaller building, you wouldn't need as much retaining walls, but for some reason that's not.
Well, that's true. If you made the building smaller, you would, but then I think the economic viability of the project dissipates in that area, in that time. That's more of a market question.
Yeah. So I mean, is the concern with shrinking the building that you're going to have to build a larger retaining wall, or is it the economic viability issue? I mean, that's what I'm trying to get clarification on.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
I would say it's both.
Okay.
I would say our biggest, we want to cut costs as a developer. We want to do things in the most cost-effective way possible. And also, as I said, we want this building to get leased up. And we feel if we decrease the size of the building after market analysis with multiple brokers and just really digging into the I-20 West market, which we've done, we feel that shrinking the size of this building will impact the lease-up ability of it. And we feel like this size building is the best size for this submarket.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, in layman's terms, y'all do market studies, you look at what the demand is, and you try to build based on that demand of what you're looking for. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
somebody may have a demand for McDonald's, and it's a little different if they want a Longhorn, what they're going to build. And so that's what I'm getting from you, is that's why you do these studies, to figure out what you think is going to bring the best.
The best quality tenant to lease the building and have a long-term lease at the building. Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, then if y'all want to relax for a few minutes, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing part. So is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this item? Just state your name and address for the record.
Doug Lang, 262 South Carroll Road. I guess there's two things that always surprise me a little bit or annoy me a little bit when these things come up. One is the due diligence, which came up on something else earlier. I'm not a developer, not a multimillionaire, not a builder of buildings. But if I'm buying a small little house, a little property, I still know to do my due diligence if there's water on the property or setbacks or whatever it is. And it seems to me that, just throwing a number out there, 90% of the applicants that come up here have darn well done their due diligence. They know what will fit on that property, and they're willing to buy it based on what will fit on that property, hoping that they'll ask for a variance and be able to build something that's more profitable for them, but less nice for the neighbors and the town overall. And that just bugs me. It looks like Villa Rica has a reputation almost of just ask, you'll get it. And so one is the due diligence. The second part is it always bugs me when we don't know who the tenant's going to be. So we approve something, the rules are in place, and now, because it's a big building, it attracts a cross-dock facility or trucking company. And I know that the representative of the applicant said something about it not being, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, but not being, the person they're negotiating with right now is not a logistics company or something like that. But that could fall through tomorrow, and we could have another 50 or 100 trucks coming off of past that truck stop in Liberty Road when they do find a tenant, and there'll be practically nothing, I guess, we can do about that. So the due diligence is something that, and not having a tenant are two things that concern me and would make me want to move to it. Well, I can't move for anything either, but to deny it. Thank you.
Good evening. Larry Kors, 115 Maple Valley Drive, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180-2757. The point I wish to bring across to us tonight is the ingress-egress. Sometime back within the last 10 years, City Council, after much frustration of the administration with the property owner, Dickinson, about the road, Baker Industrial Court, the city got sick and tired of fixing it, and fixing it. because of abuse by the property owner. So the city council decided, well, if you don't like the way we're taking care of it, you take care of it. And you deeded it back to him. So the points of ingress egress will start and end at Liberty Road and will not come down Baker Industrial. The other point that I wish to make is that South Wilson is a 16-foot wide residential road that does not need to be considered to become an ingress-egress point and a point of transportation. We've had tractor trailers in Maple Valley over the years thinking that this is the back way into the truck stop. Unfortunately, it is not, and they all end up usually getting stuck in somebody's front yard. Mine has been one that has been run over. Fortunately, my mailbox is still standing. The parcel to the west of the applicant is owned by, on the tax docket, is owned by the Hines family, and is currently blocking them from having an access to South Wilson. I ask that the administration please keep this in mind in the future, because whatever happens to this parcel, I feel that this will become an ingress-egress point for this parcel. This parcel had been rezoned from agricultural to light industrial or industrial within the last 10 years for industrial, and the industry did not make, and the parcel now sits vacant, and now the applicant is before you. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin Golshier. I'm the owner of Grind Capital Group, the development firm that's looking to pursue this project. My address is 1915 Airport Road in Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to come up and address some of the points. So with regards to the point about South Wilson Street, that will never be a point of ingress and egress for this property. Another point you mentioned, that people buy properties and then they kind of try to change the rules. That's not what we're doing here. We don't actually own this property. We're developers. Dickinson owns the property. So if we do not, if what we're trying to do is deemed to not be favorable for the county, then we go off and on our way and we pursue other projects. And then you're dealing with the property owner who may put a recycling facility on that property, which he has a right by law because that property is zoned light industrial. So it's sort of like, you have to kind of pick your poison, what you want. We're trying to do something good here. We have a great tenant that we're trying to attract to this property. It's zone light industrial. Whether you like it or not, you live next to that property, that's zone light industrial. When you bought your property and you did your due diligence, you bought a property next to something that's zone light industrial. If people didn't want it to be rezoned whenever it was rezoned, they should have spoke up at that time and not allowed it. So the fact that there are conflicts in the zoning, that's not, that's what happens. That's just part of how this stuff gets done. We want to do our best effort. We know that the city has a lot of infrastructure issues with regards to sewer. You guys need the tax revenue because there are city infrastructure upgrades that need to be made to support the community. And that's exactly what a project like this will do. It's not going to be a drain on city resources. It's going to increase taxes, increase property taxes, which are going to be used to fund public services that the community will benefit. So I think you have to look at this and you have to say, if you look at it from a utilitarian perspective, is there greater good for the community from this project by allowing this than there would be otherwise? If this project does not get approved, I'm afraid you're going to see a recycling center over there. You're going to, it's just going to be an eyesore that you guys are not going to be happy with, and you're not going to get anything better than what we're proposing. So I would just encourage you all to take that into consideration, that you do have a group that does good work. If you want references, we can give you references to Invest Atlanta. We've taken city-owned land in the city of Atlanta that was not generating any tax revenue. If you go to 3611 Jonesboro Road, you have an old city parcel there that was not redeveloped. It had no access. We came over there to that community. We worked with the city to open up access. We developed a building on that property, and it basically went from generating $0 in tax revenue to over $160,000 a year for the city and the county there. So we do good work. If you want references on the work that we do, we're happy to provide them. But we just encourage you all to please support this so we can make this project happen in an economically viable way. So there's two things on the size of the building. One is that's what the market demands in terms of the size range. And the other is that because of the site challenges, we need to spread those costs over a larger building footprint to make it economically viable. We all know about inflation. We all know about interest rates. It's not easy to make these projects happen. This body as well has granted these variances before. There's plenty of case studies. If you look at Southwire, other projects, what we're asking for has been approved many times throughout the history of this body, and we just greatly appreciate your support of this project.
Thank you.
How do we know you're not going to put a recycling center there?
What's that?
We're not in the business of doing that.
Okay. Well, we don't
That's
know
not our-
that
that's
because
not our
you're
business.
a speculative buyer.
What's that?
You're a speculative buyer.
We're
You
not
already
a
told us that
speculative
you're not the
buyer.
owner.
We're developers.
Also, why didn't you get up during the applicant portion? Why are you getting up during public hearing for?
What's that?
Why did you not get up during public? Why are you getting up in public hearing and not during the applicant portion?
I came up to address some of the additional concerns that members had raised that needed to be spoken about. So that's why I came up here. But we're not speculative buyers. We're not.
just
We're
said
not.
that you were.
No, I said we are developers. We're not speculative buyers. I don't know what you're.
You don't have a tenant, do you?
What's
Currently,
that?
do you presently have a tenant for the property?
You have to understand the way the market operates. Atlanta, and we have a broker here from NAI Brandon Goddard. The market operates in a way where any tenant who's looking on the market, they want a building that is available that they can occupy in 6 months. That is how the industry operates.
Sure.
Okay, so a tenant is not going to say, they're not going to wait 2 years to have a building. They want a building that they can occupy. So the way the market works is that it's very difficult to attract a build-to-suit because that person doesn't want to wait for 2 years. So the market operates very efficiently where developers will go find land, they will build a building as a shell to attract a tenant to come into the property, and then they will do the build-out for the requirements of that manufacturer or whatever tenant comes into there. That is how the market operates. It's
Okay. But we don't know that you're not going to build a recycling facility there, do we?
I don't know anything about building a recycling facility, so it's
you
not
brought
my
it up
business.
as a scare tactic in this community, and you came
Well-
here from
No.
Atlanta.
Well, I
and
think
you're telling
it's-
us what we need in our city.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Well,
saying
that's what
by
it sounded
statute.
like.
Councilman Momtahan,
That's what it
Councilman,
sounded like.
I think they're giving an example, and it's true. If I were a salesman, I'd be trying to sell you what I wanted to sell you. But at the same time, I think we have to realize that once it is light industrial, anything that qualifies in that can go there.
Exactly.
But another thing is too, because we rewrote the zoning, and I don't have all of it memorized, but I remember going through those pages, we were pretty specific about what we had to have as far as buffers between the various properties, agriculture, commercial, and stuff like that, to protect people. I just need to hear it again to remind myself. It's a tough market for everybody right now, and I get what you're saying. I know you have some expertise in that way, and maybe it won't be a recycle center. It might be something else. There's no guarantee anyway if it's empty. We will not always know who's going to come there, but let's try to keep it as civil as we can, right? Okay, I don't want to judge anybody's motives right behind them, but we do need as many facts as we can to make a good decision. Anyone else that wants to speak for or against this item?
Christy Chastain, 239 Berkeley Drive. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other on this because it does not directly impact me where I live. I feel like the voices of the people in that area need to be listened to. Regarding Mr. Momtahan's comments about it being a scare tactic just now, he's exactly right. According to the city ordinance, if I'm reading it correctly, recycling center requires a special exception. So it would have to come back before you guys to do that. Thank you.
Hubert Farr, 173 Maple Valley Drive. This is the picture that I pulled off of you guys' website earlier today. If this is the building they're building, a Lidl and Cypress is not going to stop the noise that are going to come from these vents. These vents are 25 to 30 feet in the air. I don't know if you guys have planted Leland cypresses, but it's going to be years before they get to 25 or 30 feet. I don't know the height of this building. I'm going to guess probably 50 feet to the top. That Leland cypress is never going to grow 50 feet, so I don't have to look at this from my back porch. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else during comment time?
That was a good sales pitch. One thing they won't tell you either is the pipeline that runs through that property. What is that, 100 feet wide, that's wide open? It don't matter where they put no trees. I got trees all around me, but I still hear it. And he already had a recycling center over there. He was busting concrete, turning it into aggregate for his business, and we finally had to get that stopped. So he's got heavy equipment over there. I don't know what is it, 1L, light commercial, light industrial?
Light industrial.
We're talking about 40 and 50,000 pound pieces of equipment coming in over there. So I don't think, plus it's going to be right on the creek. And he's talking about building retaining walls. If you look at that property, that thing's got to have a 20-degree grade on it. That's why they don't want to build a retaining wall. It would take a heck of a lot. If you look at the Home Depot, the retaining walls they had to build over there, that's what they'll have to build over here.
Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? Okay, I'll refer back to the council. Council, do you have any further questions for either the applicant or for staff?
Mayor, I have a motion. On variance 04-24, I move to deny the variance request from Doug Dickinson deviating from the required 75-foot buffer for new I-1 development abutting an existing agricultural AG parcel.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed?
On variance 06-24, I move to deny the variance request from Doug Dickinson about waiving the 75-foot impervious buffer encroaching the 50-foot stream buffer city requirement.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Going to move on to item 4. VA-05-24 and VA-07-24 variances for Chick-fil-A to operate a temporary food truck. I would say temporary, we have another name for it that describes it better.
Mobile food vendor.
Mobile food vendor at 779 West Bankhead Highway, and this does have a public hearing.
We do have an applicant who is requesting 2 variances. They kind of contradict each other. One is actually from the zoning ordinance, the VA-05-24, which food trucks and mobile food vendors to operate more than 4 consecutive days in any one location unless they have a mayor or city council's written approval. And the second of the 2 variances, which is out of the licensing business regulations, is the no food vendor shall operate on any other day other than Mondays.
And that's why this is hard to apply to this situation, because we have conflicting ordinances that we need to straighten out, and it was designed for food trucks, and what we're looking at here is a different operation. That's why we're gonna have to base it on what we're doing here. I mean, it's not that we don't take the ordinance into consideration at all, but most of it doesn't apply. Is that right, Mr. Barber? Most of it doesn't apply, because it's talking about mobile food trucks coming into downtown, can't stay for more than 4 days, and the other requirements they wouldn't make sense for what's happening here. So why don't you tell us specifically what Chick-fil-A is trying to do over there on this property in front of the old Ruby's Diner,
Yes, ma'am.
and why they're doing it?
Yes. So a little bit of background pertaining to what's going on with Chick-fil-A. Their current location is actually 85 Commerce Drive. It is a 1.05 acre lot. It's actually zone C2, which is commercial medium density. Chick-fil-A is actually closing, or have closed already, for a remodel, and that remodel can take a duration of 3.5 to 4 months. As you can see on the map behind you, their current location is actually in the red box that's actually right here, and their proposed location is a little north across from West Bankhead Highway, this parcel that's right here. Okay, here we go. Okay, a little information pertaining to the temporary site. It is located at 799 West Bankhead Highway. It is a 14.58 acre lot. It is owned by the Leathers family, and it's approximately 670 feet away from the current address of the Chick-fil-A, which is being remodeled right now. The temporary site is actually dual zoned. The front portion, which is about 1/3 of the lot, is zone C1, which is commercial low density, and the back 2/3 of that lot is zone industrial low density I1. The goal for the temporary site is the Chick-fil-A at Bremen, which is approximately 13 miles, or give or take 15 minutes away from the temporary site. They will be preparing limited items at their restaurant. They will cook it, and a van or a truck will be delivering these items to the temporary site. The applicant did state that it will probably be give or take a hour turnaround from collecting the food and bringing it back to the temporary site. This is a rough site plan sketch that the applicant actually provided staff. As you can see, it's a lot going on this site plan, so I'll just try to straighten a couple things out. As you can see at the bottom right corner, right here is the entrance that cars will be taking, and they will actually go up to a tent/table area, which will be equipped with all of the limited item food that the employees will actually be serving. There will be a mobile food trailer on site, but the mobile food trailer will actually just be holding supplies and safety equipment if needed. Towards the left of the parcel, each drive-through, let me back it up a little bit. The cars will actually go up to the tent/table area, and it'll be a dual drive-through, essentially, where as soon as the cars get done stacking, they'll go up. It'll be one that'll be to the north and one that'll be to the south, and employees will take their orders and go ahead and give each of the customers their food, and then each of those drive-through areas will have their own designated exit areas right there. There are some existing buildings that are actually on that lot. As the mayor said, it used to be the Ruby's Diner, as well as a vehicle repair shop towards the left. Now, both of those structures are vacant as of today. the applicant did express that they'll have some type of cones and employees actually being on lot to help direct traffic on and off of that temporary lot. The site conditions, I think this is very important based off of what the site is actually looked at, presented to today. This picture was actually taken this week on Monday, and this is the front area is where the proposed tent will be at. Cars will essentially come from that right-hand side. It'll be a tent area that's right here in the middle, which will have employees there. They would serve the customers, and then essentially customers will leave in this little area right here. There, like I said earlier, there are some deteriorated vacant buildings. As you can tell, the old Ruby Diner is essentially falling apart. There's also other deteriorated buildings on the lot, as well as residential mobile food or mobile home trailers are actually on the lot as well, which is a little bit further back on that 13 acre lot. There is some construction that's going all around Highway 78. There's a little bit on the left-hand side. You can't really see it on this picture, and as well as there's construction going on to the new fire department that's across the street. There's a little bit more pictures on the site. Those two left-hand side pictures are essentially where the cars will be rolling in and be making a right turn onto the parcel. This grassy area is where the cars are predicted to be stacking before going to that tent area, which is on a concrete area. I do want to point out on this little circle area that's actually right here that it is a deteriorated 5-foot metal fence that's actually there. It's actually surrounding a 3.5-foot deep dried up creek bed, which it could be some safety issues if customers do not watch out from that area going into the lot. On the right hand side on these pictures right here, it's construction. It's construction for new residential developments that are actually on that eastern part of the parcel. We have a new development that's actually building a road, Starlight development, as well as Villa Trace on that left hand side. And as you can see, there's a multitude of caution cones that are on and around that lot as of Monday. Staff did make some recommendations for City Council to take into account. For the first variance to allow mobile food vendors to operate more than 4 consecutive days in any one location, the proposal from the applicant will be operating Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week. Staff recommends denial for the site. It isn't ideal for the expected volume customers that will be entering and leaving the lot. The lot has stacking issues, even where the area where the cars will be stacking, there's grass, dirt, and assortment of gravel that's around there, and that can potentially worsen throughout the limited temporary use of this lot. And this is actually proposed drive-through stacking can overflow. As you all know, the applicant does generate quite a few customers even during their peak hours of lunchtime and sometimes dinner time, which could get backed up on Highway 78 and could pose some type of detriments with the already congested street that's actually right there. And for the second variance, which pertains to no food truck vendors shall operate on any other day than Monday, the applicant does, again, stated on the last variance, is proposing to operate 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Staff does recommend denial for that as well, just because the traffic difficulties that could happen if this would see fruition is it's risky at most, I would say, just so for the stacking concerns to actually back up and potentially be on that Highway 78 area. And this variance is self-imposed. We do have conditions for approval if staff would like to go that route. as well. I will go very quickly for the condition approvals. The first one out of 5 is that this variance will have an expiration date. It will be for only 4 months from the start date. It must be renewed if the applicant wants to extend their remodel efforts and still use this temporary lot from you all city council. We have a second condition that it only be right turning for entering and exiting the lot. Staff believes that it can alleviate traffic pressures that will actually be there, especially during peak seasons or peak times of the day. The third is applicants must provide clear and proper signage entering and exiting the lot. The applicant did express that they will have signage there, but staff does want to see if they can take it a step further and actually have designated employees to help customers go on and off the lot. The fourth condition is the applicant must meet all the stacking requirements out of our section 8.09 stacking spaces and layout design, and they will have to have a clearance of stacking for regular restaurants with drive-throughs of no more than 8, or have room for 8 or more cars on that lot before they actually go up to the tent and actually order. And lastly, the applicant must provide staff a lighting plan in conjunction with our section 7.1 outdoor lighting.
Before we go to council questions, I just want to mention that whole thing about operating on Monday that we're still citing, if we did not get rid of that out of the ordinance, it was meant to have been gotten rid of. That's why we have a conflict in the ordinance, because we did not believe that even food trucks should just be relegated to just Monday, because I remember going through that with Chris Montesinos when we were talking about food trucks downtown, and we were rewriting some of those things. So I don't know what happened there and how, but we have that conflict. That's our problem to solve. Any questions from council for Sean before Mr. Daniels, before we bring up the applicant and let him have a say about how they want to operate or what their plan is? Yes, Councilman Warmoth.
I know that we discussed it earlier, but we could do a 1-month period to revisit later to make sure that traffic is not backing up and that's not an issue over there, correct?
Yes, ma'am. You all actually alluded during a work session that you all will actually do a 1 month or a 45-day review of that.
Well, our next council meeting would be in a month, so that would be the ideal time to do it.
We just have to take into consideration June, we do not have a meeting, a regular scheduled meeting, so.
Couldn't do it once.
Couldn't do what but once?
Review it but once, because we won't need you June.
So if it came back
We could do it in May.
in May,
That's all.
you would have to remember you're not gonna have a June meeting unless there's a special call meeting.
Right, but we're in April, so we would have a May meeting and we could revisit this in May.
And that's mainly because it was that concern about, are they going to be backed out on we just want to make sure they're not backed out on 78.
Yes.
And if they're not backed out on 78, then there's not a problem.
So,
Yes.
I mean, some of the other issues that you had brought up for reasons of denial weren't quite, I mean, because this is just a temporary solution to them being closed for remodeling. So some of the reasons for denial, again, we're making an exception for their upgrades. But the concern that I do have is that traffic, and potentially backing up with that. But as we mentioned earlier, at the House of the Lord's Chicken, they do tend to move that traffic on through real quick. So I don't know how. I have faith in them.
Apparently
but
it's
it's
Christian
definitely
chicken.
it's definitely a that would be a concern that I would like to revisit in a month.
Yes.
I had, when you were showing about the fence there, and you said that was dangerous, could Chick-fil-A be responsible for fixing that fence so it wouldn't be so dangerous? No way you coming that often.
Is it on the right of way? If it's on the right of way, it's our job.
It's I have to have a review to have a definitive answer.
Something in there for them, but I don't know. But I just remember, you know, you were saying the fence was sort of shaky there.
Yes, ma'am.
And it made that dangerous over there.
Mhm.
But so I was just wondering if, you know, if you're gonna do it, could Chick-fil-A fix that fence so it wouldn't be a dangerous thing?
It's from my knowledge that it's actually GDOT's. It's actually inside the GDOT area. Now, Chick-fil-A could maybe put some type of cones or caution tape that's actually over there to prevent or have added knowledge for vehicles actually going into it.
Yeah, 'cause
If it's GDOT,
GDOT, we can forget it.
then we probably should handle it because it's our city, our citizens. If it were on the property owners, it would not be the tenant, it'd be the property owner that would be responsible for making sure that was safe. But if it's an issue, let's not leave it like that. I don't want somebody falling in it or a car going down in it. Yes, Councilman Momptahan.
No, I just wanted to say, I suggested 45 days only because if they came back at the next council meeting and we said, no, it's not working, y'all, that gave them some time to wind it up. But I'm flexible in that regard if the council is going to entertain it, like a renewable permit kind of thing. That was it. That's all I wanted to say.
Because I want to let the applicant come up because he may have some, to explain the way they're going to operate because we don't know exactly how. Okay, I think we're good for now at least. Don't go far, Sean. Mr. Day, come on up.
Well, I'm not the applicant.
That's true. It's Bremen. It's Bremen, right?
Hey, good evening. How are you guys doing?
Yes, sir.
So Josh Pritchard, 1691 Hayes Mill Road, Carrollton, Georgia. And this is Reggie Benson. He's our marketing / outside sales director. He'll be presenting most of it. I'll be helping out, assisting. So.
How are y'all tonight?
Pretty good, thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to come for you. Thank you as Chick-fil-A's reputation has proceeded. I would like to answer any questions you have. We do have the site plan, which was not professionally drawn by any means. It was me. It's not to scale if you really follow along. I agree there's that creek to the right of that entrance that we're going to use. I asked Sean just now, I said, how far is it? Because I did not put a measurement from the creek over. Let's look at it again. We don't want any hazards. We don't want any of that. Too much of a reputation to uphold. By the same token, some of the issues, let's say Ruby's Diner is not appealing from the street level. The food trailer hooked up to the truck is, can y'all hear me when I lean away? The food trailer that'll be hooked up to the truck, mostly for supplies like Mr. Daniels said, will be covering a portion of the Ruby's Diner that is on the ground piece.
That's good to hear because we kind of joked about it, but we were hoping that whatever you put up would block everything that's behind there.
We're not actually making a barrier, but there should be no one customer-wise out of a vehicle. That's a task in itself. But honestly, that'll help to have a barrier so they don't drive their car that way, in that direction. So there'll be space between the food trailer and the tent, which will allow cars to come in. If you'll allow me a rough estimate, we're around 15 cars when we have a double stack in there is what we're coming up with. I'd be glad to be told different and believe it. I've actually been told more, but I think that's a rough estimate. We're going to probably be able to take care of them in non-peak periods with one cashier, order taker, and one bagger on each side of the tent. So we're not going to keep them long. The other piece of it is we're not going to allow them to both go out the same exit. You said south, right? The south side of that tent, they'll make an immediate left-hand turn. That is not to scale, I promise you, because nobody can make that turn. The other one, I'm sorry. Where's your little pointer getting it? All right. Oh, do I got to hold it? Yes. All right. This turn out of here to go out this exit, definitely they're going to have to make right-hand turns. You can't go out of there right now and make a left-hand turn out of there very well. Well, you might can at 9. But anyway, so every car that comes out of this left side is going to have to exit here. Every car that comes out of the right side is going to have to come down here, make right-hand turns only. We will have signage up on sandwich board signs. Entrance only, facing the street, right-hand turn exit only. We'll have both of those marked here and here. And once I said that's not the scale, I promise you, I got measurements. Now they're correct. Now go to this one. Okay, this one is going to have an entrance-only sign. We probably will not have to explain to them they can exit there because these cars are going to keep them moving the other direction. But I can put one there if y'all need it. What we have talked about in the beginning is to make sure that we do have 1 or 2 extra people on the lot itself to facilitate, hey, what are we doing? You know, we don't really have the pattern drawn out. We are going to mark it by cones, which will help. But at the same time, there are questions in people's minds when they're coming to get chicken.
So if they're just gonna turn right, then they're going towards Temple, right?
Yes, ma'am. So we'll definitely force the right-hand turn and send them towards Temple, and it'll be up to them where they do their, I guess if they want to go the other direction on 78, where they make their U-turn, whether it's down at the light with the First Baptist Church or so on and so forth. One of the key differences here through this mobile food vending site is no food production is taking place there. So food production is taking place off-site. I understand there's some concerns around traffic. Like Reggie said, we've mapped out. We think we can, depending upon size of car, get 13 to 15 cars on the lot. And that's not backed out onto 27 or 78, excuse me. But another key difference is because we're not actually producing the food on site, we believe that, and Justin and his team are super fast at Villa Rica, but we really believe that we can shave the time that they're actually on the lot by about 2/3. Because we're essentially not having to produce the product. It's a limited menu, very condensed. There's only about 10 items on the menu. And so once they're handed the menu, they can choose between the 10 items. It's bagged and it's handed to them. There's no production that actually takes place. So that should increase the speed of things dramatically.
Because it's all wrapped up and everything, right? I mean,
exactly.
It's not like you're taking it out of the kitchen there. Everything's packaged.
Absolutely. And we've got the health department, we've got all the approvals from them, assuming if obviously we need those as part of the application process. But so that's just, the way the traffic will flow on the lot. It will flow a lot quicker, so to speak. Is there anything that I'm not touching on? Yeah, sorry. Here's Justin.
Hey, if you don't know me, I'm Justin Days. I own the Chick-fil-A here in Villa Rica, 5070 Long Ridge Drive, Villa Rica, Georgia. So Josh approached me about this when it was established we were shutting down for a remodel. This isn't sales for me or anything like that. The one advantage I do have in it is that it's going to help employ some of my team while we're closed. But other than that, I have no upside on this. I know that we're planning on using some of his people, some of my people for doing this. We're not going to, the lines you see backed out into 61 at my store, I don't think you're going to see that here. Because it's literally, it's going to, throw a sandwich, chips, drink in a bag and move them on down the road. So it's as much from a spirit of not wanting to totally remove Chick-fil-A from our community for 4 months, as it is, hey, it's an opportunity for him for some incremental sales, but it also helps. I got to keep y'all wanting that taste. 4 months, you're forward, ready to go. Okay, so anyway, but appreciate y'all's consideration. You good?
The only last thing I'll add, just like Justin said, his current location draws a good bit of interstate traffic. This location will not draw interstate traffic unless you get lost on 78. This will mainly be a local draw, if that makes sense. Just because there'll be no visibility once you exit I-20, unless again you were to go down to 61 and 78 and make that left-hand turn. There'll be no signage directing you to go to that mobile food vending site. It's mainly going to be a local community type play. So, thank you for your time.
Any questions for the applicant? Anything else? Yes, Council.
I was just going to say, those people getting off the interstate are going to be so angry when they see the Chick-fil-A closed.
That's the problem.
I stopped
Yeah.
by the site today. Now, the site technically no longer belongs to me, but I went to get something from whoever the contractor is, and I saw 3 people with the gates up hold onto the parking lot. Like, how do you not know that we're closed? Bless your heart. Okay? But still, it was really amusing, and he said, "Oh gosh," she said, "it's going to happen the entire time." So, yeah, we are very thankful to be so loved. There is no doubt about it.
And we don't want riots. So, any more questions for staff or the applicant before we move to the hearing for anybody that wants to speak for or against? Any other questions this time? Okay. All right. Y'all relax for a minute. Anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? She beat you.
So I'm Valerie Butler, 636 Clearview Street, Villa Rica. So I am affected right when you come out of our Clearview Street. You see what used to be Ruby's Diner, and then was Angels in the Outfit.
Is the mic on? You can't hear it?
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to start over?
Go ahead.
Okay.
It's fine with us.
So horrible. You've got the school kids. I try to go during lunch, but if I go after when school's going out, I can never even get out to turn right to come back to town. So a couple of things about that. Also, when I-20 gets closed because there's some kind of wreck or something, how do they go? 78. So you're already continuously adding to that area. We've also been asking for a red light, which I know went for the school kids. My son lives on Carol Vista trying to come out. He can't go straight across. It's only going to make it worse for him to try to go towards town as well, and he lives in Carol Vista. Another thing that I have to say is the fire station. I'm just concerned right now if you're adding additional traffic there. I understand, and I do give Mr. Day wonderful, they get you in and out at the Chick-fil-A there in Villa Rica. But who's going to be there directing traffic, and is there going to be tickets when someone tries to, instead of going right, turn left and stop the whole traffic? That's another concern that I have. Hold on, I had all my little notes going on here. If it's not affecting Villa Rica, because Mr. Day said that he wasn't getting revenue from that, I know I did listen to y'all's earlier council meeting whenever y'all were talking about it, and I realized that everybody loves Chick-fil-A. I also love Chick-fil-A, but I think it's something that I could do without for 4 months instead of having additional traffic there in front of Clearview Street on 78, which is already traffic with kids and everything else. And even when school is going on, or school and the kids are in school, the traffic is still bad there if you ever are trying to go during lunch, that kind of thing. There's the restaurants there, the New Mexican restaurant that's there. There's traffic from that. There's trucks coming in and out. You've got the apartments being built, so you got people trying to get over to the apartments that are being built there. You've got the fire station being built. And then you talk about they've got to turn right to go out, and then you're going to have to figure out where they're going to turn around to come back to add to the traffic going 78 for those of us out of Clearview Street trying to turn. I, again, love Chick-fil-A, have nothing against it, but the location to me does not work, and I would hope that y'all would stop and consider that as a no for those citizens who live over in that area. Carol Vista, when they were putting in the little road there and digging up, they cut off a section of 78 right there when they were digging. They ran over earlier, so I'm going to continue to run over for just another minute. But they turned around, and when they were trying to build that road there, it caused traffic back up just with them trying to put in the road that's going to the new apartments at Carol Vista. So for me, a citizen who does live there, I pray that you would say no.
Next.
Larry Kors, Maple Valley Drive again. I want to say I'm for this. Just a couple of things that are on top of my mind that we have not discussed. Little things like potable water, sanitation for the public and as well as the help, trash pickup, how, where, when, and a suggestion for traffic. How about asking the Villa Rica Police Department to ask its off-duty officers if they'd like to earn a little extra money? The reason why I made the comment to the back here was with the city engineer was the fact that we're going to have this project going on and we're going to have the road project going on up by Coach Best from this afternoon, remember? E.R. Snell, the adjusted contract. Thank you.
They're going to go work in the neighborhood.
Christy Chastain, 239 Berkeley Drive. Like everyone else, yes, I love Chick-fil-A. I don't get down to Bremen very much, but I do frequent both of them in Carrollton as well as yours. My concern is the traffic, which has already been addressed very much. The other concern I have is, as you've addressed, that there's not going to be food produced on site. What are you going to do about the traffic when you run out of food? And you have all those angry Chick-fil-A people who can't get their food. And you've got them sitting in your parking lot. So that's another concern, because I think it's extremely optimistic to assume that you're not going to run out of food at any given time, as much as our community loves Chick-fil-A. The other thing I would ask is, were any other sites without as much road travel frontage heavy area considered? Thanks.
Anyone else that would like to speak for or against this item?
Jeremy Harris, 155 Boyd Road. You know, I think as some good citizens looking up at this, we need a comprehensive plan. I looked at that property for a warehouse, turned it down because of lead times to build. But you're talking about $10 a square foot to rent it. You're not going to get a recycler in there. For Chick-fil-A, they're trying to pay employees salaries. So I think as city council, you guys got to start looking at the full picture of all the possibilities of what tax brings in. How many apartment complexes do we have being built? Where are those employees going to work? Where are they going to go to school? These are long-term things that we got to think about. So, I'm for it all.
Anyone else for or against?
Natalie Harris. That's my dad. 155 Boyd Road. I'm actually talking about students and the influx of students for Chick-fil-A. I think it's a great idea. However, I think that with students walking, because they already walked to the actual building when it was in, operation, I think that it's something to consider, but I'm just checking with this. You guys did say that people are to stay inside their cars. Okay. So as long as that's made aware to the public, I think that hopefully students shouldn't walk over there, but it's just something to consider, especially being so close to the high school. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to refer back to the council. If you have any questions, any further questions, but also if the applicant would, yes, if the applicant also wants to speak to any of those concerns, be ready. who do your questions for? Staff and the applicant may both need to be ready.
Yeah, it would be for the applicant.
Okay. Come on, thank you.
Or probably more for Justin, because you would probably be able to answer this one a little bit better since it's your store.
I'll try.
What are your peak hours?
Honestly, we're busy all day long. Now, obviously, I mean, the peak hours, you know, we have, depends on what time of year during school. So we're going to be talking summertime and, or school time and summertime with this. My business pattern in the mornings, we tend to have a busy early morning until school's in. And then we get, a slight lull before we go into lunch. When it becomes summertime, the breakfast pattern changes. It starts off real slow during the summertime when school is out, and everybody wakes up and says, "Oh crap! I've got to get to Chick-fil-A by 10:30 for breakfast." So we get a big rush in the afternoon, or in the latter part of breakfast. Lunchtime obviously is a busy time, but we really, we're actually a very blessed store in that we don't have some of the crazy peaks and valleys that other locations that I know of have. We're kind of we're all day long. We stay busy all day long.
And a steady flow of business is definitely a good thing. But I know that I have driven by and you've got the line out at 78. Now, granted, it moves quickly, but that's where the concern is about that line coming out to 78. That's
Sure.
the concern.
And I would tell you, just from my own numbers, when I know, hey, we're moving, we're firing on all cylinders. When we're firing on all cylinders, from the time your wheels get onto my parking lot and in my drive-through, you're gone in just that 5 minutes. So, then think about it. That's a full line stack. That's 20 something cars. So, we definitely pump them through.
But how often do you have that line out at 78?
61?
Into 61.
I'm sorry,
into
at 61. I'm sorry, yes.
Recently, unfortunately, this past couple weeks has actually been a little bit slow for us. I haven't noticed it backing up very much, but I would say during lunch, definitely peak part of breakfast, and then in the evening, dinner time, especially when it depends. And again, dinner time business also is impacted by what sports are going on.
Okay.
Because moms and kids get home from work and they got to get the kids to practice and this, that, and all. So, it has some variation.
Well, and I know that school traffic has been the topic of discussion as well. And, school is going to let out here pretty soon. So if we're talking about revisiting this in 30 to 45 days, whichever, I'm good with whichever. But I would definitely want to review it and see where we're at on how the traffic is going if this is approved. But if school traffic is the biggest concern, school will be out in mid-May.
Yeah. And I was listening earlier online to the work session and y'all's discussion, and when that thought was brought up, and I think it was Mr. Barber that proposed that and say, hey, why don't we put it on a 30-day review or what have you? I think it was Mr. Montmahan that said 45 days, and I thought that was actually a really good idea, knowing that the recommendation was going to be to deny. I felt like that was a really good idea to kind of help us to a path for them to be able to do this.
Yes, Councilman McCoy.
Thank you. What Ms. Chastain said in her comments, why did y'all pick this space? Like, why did y'all pick this lot? Because there's got to be somewhere else in Villa Rica that wouldn't affect traffic as much, wouldn't be as problematic.
Yes, ma'am. So the reason why we picked this specific site was there was an opportunity to have multiple exits and to address traffic, knowing that we would obviously be in a high traffic area. That's why it was important to have multiple exits where we could force that right-hand turn. However, we do acknowledge it does create an issue once they turn right, however far they decide to go down the road if they are headed in the other direction east on 78. We specifically picked it because of the ability to have multiple exits.
And my next question that was my first one, because the public hearing made me think of it, because when I was seeing the lot on there, because I apologize, I had a doctor's appointment, missed the work session. So, what I was going to say, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, interstate traffic. I know y'all have analytics on this. What's the percentage of that's local, like the customer base is local versus interstate traffic? I would be shocked if y'all didn't have some kind of analytics on that.
We do. Chick-fil-A does. Unfortunately, it's not. I don't have those numbers.
Okay.
I don't have them currently. I actually joked with Josh earlier when he said something about we're not going to draw interstate, and I said I've been a Chick-fil-A franchisee for 22 years, and honestly I don't pay attention to those numbers very much. I sell chicken. I want to sell chicken to whoever wants to buy it, but I don't sit and analyze those numbers very often.
Okay. Do you have a ballpark?
Do you have for your
Any of y'all?
I would say
Yes, ma'am. So I would say out in Bremen, which is a little bit different than Billerica, a little less populated, a lot less populated. I would say that it's about 60-40 interstate to community traffic.
Okay, so why I asked this question,
Sure.
It probably sounds irrelevant, but the reason I asked it was that as we were talking about it going out to 61 and everything, you're estimating that it's going to cut the traffic or the people coming through the drive-through to about 50%.
I do believe there'll be a significant reduction in terms of volume
Okay.
to the specific site. There was a concern brought up about, multiple concerns about the traffic and potentially hiring off-duty police officers. We are more than happy to do that to initially maybe satisfy some concerns during peak period, as well as extend that as long as it's needed. I think the big thing is we don't want to, if you hear anything, we don't want to be a problem. You guys mentioned 30, 45 days. We're happy to address it sooner if it's not working for y'all. We don't want to tie the city's hands and say, hey, you said 30, 45 days. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We're not trying to put you guys in a bad spot in terms of that.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'll say that I don't think we're requiring police officers for any other business in town that sometimes has cars backing up. So I think in perspective of this is 3 to 4 months out of our life, okay? 3 to 4 months. This is not an ongoing. If we had a successful business over there right now running that open and somebody decided we were going to have a Popeyes or whatever over there and built it because it's commercial, you'd have traffic from that as well. So I realize we have the traffic issues all over town, so it's a legitimate concern. It is. But step back for just a minute and realize this is very temporary. This is not a long-lasting thing. If we can make sure it's safe and there's not cars out on 78, we probably don't have to talk about it till midnight, I'm thinking, just maybe. That we can find something we can work with. We've already made clear that we'll look at this. We'll look at this and review it. Hey, is there a problem? But if things are moving along okay and you're getting your place built over there and some of these kids are staying employed that otherwise might not have a job, I think that needs to be taken into consideration too. School's going to be out in what, month and a half? When does this start? If it's okay, when would it start?
So pending approval, we would like to start by the end of the week, assuming that we can
so
get
it would be pretty
all of our
immediate.
signage for you guys to look over, Mr. Daniels and the staff.
So the month and a half is about right. Okay. Yes. Councilman Carter.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Are you going to operate like Chick-fil-A operated? You going to have people out with the little iPads taking orders, and are you going to expedite the flow through?
Yes, sir. It will be taken on a mobile device, mobile iPad.
Okay. How are you going to enforce the right-hand turn? Because that would hold things up if people
Yes,
try
sir.
to turn left.
Absolutely. So we plan on having additional staff on site to direct that right-hand turn at the exits. Again, if it does become an issue, we would be happy to employ the police officers to help direct that. We believe with good signage and then having some folks out there directing it, hey, we're not allowed to do this unless you guys abide by the rules that we have. I think we can get them to comply.
Okay.
As well
Thank
as
you.
cones. My pleasure.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to refer back to the council, and if y'all are ready, since there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. Of course, you got to remember where it is after all this time and see if it's still up on. I've totally lost my spot. There we are.
Okay.
Or turn around and read
Okay.
it off the
You wanna
monitor
try it,
behind
Matt?
you.
Yeah, maybe this is a Kevin question. Do I need to make a motion for both of them, or can I combine everything into one motion? Since there's conditions and whatnot, assuming that I'm going to make the motion to approve with conditions, but in one motion for both variances? Okay.
Yeah, the 4 consecutive days.
Huh? Oh.
The 4 consecutive days is the first one.
So,
That Monday thing shouldn't even be.
well, I'm
in
going to
there.
say it like this. I make a motion to approve the request by Pritchard Hospitality LLC, DBA Chick-fil-A, for variance variance application VA-0524 and variance application VA-0724, subject to the conditions that the applicant's variance has an expiration date of 4 months from the start date. It must be renewed by the city council following the expiration date, but also is up for renewal at the May council meeting, or up for review at the May council meeting. That a right-only entering and exit is only permitted during operating hours. The applicants must provide clear and proper signage for entering and exiting the lot. The applicant must have designated employees on site to help conduct safe entering and exiting on the temporary lot during operating hours. The drive-through vehicle stacking must meet the guidelines in section 8.096, stacking space layout and design. The applicants must provide a lighting plan that is in conjunction with a lighting plan that is in conjunction with section 7.12 outdoor lighting, which must be submitted and reviewed for staff approval.
That's the longest motion I've ever heard.
And I would also just reiterate the operating hours being from 7 a.m. That's a condition, the operating hours being from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
You sure you got it all,
Monday
Matt?
through Saturday.
If you got it all, Matt, I'll suck at that.
I think I got it all, yes.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous in favor. Phew. And there probably won't be a lot of lighting required, I'm thinking. I don't know what it is at 7, but as daylight savings time, we're talking about y'all are finished at 8 o'clock. Oh, hang on. Well, not at this time. Okay, so we're going to move on to, after I figure out where we are again, hold on. Okay, number 5. CU-04-25, special exception use request to allow 4 overnight parking spaces for semi-trucks on the lot. This does have a public hearing. It's going to be a
Yes.
long meeting.
So we have a applicant that requested 2 special exception requests, but for this one right here, we're just going to talk about the first of the 2, and that's for CU-04-24 to allow for overnight semi-trailer truck lanes on the lot of 701 Edge Road. Now, these 4 spaces were already in existence from the time of the applicant who actually purchased the lot in 2018. The area of where the parking is actually going to be at is around 5,700 square feet. And there are actually 3 white parking stripes, all different lengths. There's one that's 98 feet, there's one that's 88 feet, and the latter is 74 feet. There is a maneuvering space. It's around 77 to 80 feet from the start of the lanes to the corner of the filling station apron. So it's a little tight maneuvering space for these trucks to actually back up and park. The owner did make a sign, which is displayed, that's on the slide. He actually made a sign for overnight parking earlier this year, but code enforcement actually came out and saw trucks being parked there as well as the signs that were actually there, and briefly shut them down for improper permitting, sign permitting, and parking on that lot. And I also want to go ahead and mention that the truck stops are permitted in C2 zones. They also have to get a request from City Council. The staff will recommend a denial for this particular request of allowing 4 semi-truck overnight parking lanes on the property. The reasons is from section 7.02, subsection 1, off-street parking and loading, and it states that all parking spaces must have adequate maneuvering space into vehicles that can back up and exit from that parking lot. Again, that parking space area, the maneuvering area, is around 80 feet from the start of those lines to the corner canopy, which will just be tight for trailers and trucks that are standard around 70 feet in length that will be backing up into that area. Of course, while these trucks will be backing up and or leaving this lot, it could present some disruption with the entrance and exit, and it could hinder traffic circulation for personal vehicles to go on that lot and also exit off that lot as well. Another reason why staff actually recommended now is because it's already a lot of traffic on that I-20 Gateway East area, and this could, even though it might be minimal, it could just add additional trucks on that that character area. And lastly, this request is for economic gain. The applicant's actually trying to see if he can't get monetary or fiscal benefits for having trucks actually on that lot as well. We do have conditions for approval if City Council want to take that route. The first condition will be the truck area shall be kept and with what should be kept up with minimum debris and trash within that area. Code enforcement actually had some issues pertaining to the litter on that area. So we would like to see that if you all do approve this, that they will actually keep up and have a nice presentation for not just that lot, but for the city as a whole. And the last condition will be pertaining to 7.02, which is off-street parking and loading. Trucks cannot be there more than 48 hours at a time, as well as there can be no trailers left on that lot without a semi-tractor truck actually connected to that trailer.
Question.
So how long has parking been going on there?
Again, when the applicant actually bought the parcel on 2018, he's saying they were already there. He's saying that the lines were already there. I have looked on Google Earth aerial view. Those have actually been there since, I'll have to say, 2015 some odd. So
Okay, so my understanding is that he had trucks were just coming and parking there overnight.
Correct.
So he decided to create a little business. I don't blame him. You know, if they're coming anyway and you're not there, you're thinking maybe you ought to organize it and put some lines. As far as the traffic, we're talking 4. Now, I can only speak for me. Whether it's tight or not, the trucker can figure out whether it's tight enough. It's easier to back than a fifth wheel, I'll tell you that. And I've backed in some pretty tight places, and truckers are trained to back into some pretty, I've been impressed. But, if that's then causing a problem of the back out on the road, then it's a concern to us. You know, they know what they can do and not do. I don't think we're going to have a traffic problem necessarily with 4 trucks. And I'll say this, and then I'll quit, and y'all can have at it. Part of the problem we're having with trucks being on the exit ramps, entrance ramps, and everything else is some of the truck stops that have closed along 20. I've had the truckers have to tell me that. And so they're on the exit ramp, and it's dangerous. And they can only drive so many hours. They have to sleep. They have strict regulations, and wherever they are, there's certain allowances for waiting for certain things. But otherwise, they've got to be somewhere they've got to sleep. I'm not saying whether this should happen or not. I think we just got to look at it holistically. You know, maybe it's a real problem. I don't know. Litter, I can tell you a whole bunch of places where litter is a problem. So, you know, but everybody should be picking up their property. But anyway, at least for me, if we're talking 4 truck, it's not traffic. My concern would be if they've got a problem where they're causing something out on the road there, you know. Or if they've been operating, if we've told them to stop and they're still doing something, then there's a problem with if we've asked them to stop and they're disobeying that. That's a reason not to let somebody do something or continue.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Councilman Carter.
Sean, that's listed as Edge Road. Is that private property or is that city road?
That's a local city road. It just has a
It
dead end area.
It is the Villa Rica Road, then.
Yes, yes,
It's
sir.
an extension to Edge Road. So how in the world should we be allowing truckers to park on Edge Road if it's a city road? They park it on the road, right? On the roadway.
Well, the city does not allow any trucks parking on a local road. So that is highly frowned upon just because of safety concerns with a high volume vehicle that's actually there. I haven't personally actually did a little bit of scouting out there to actually see any trucks are actually on that dead end road, but I can't see how that can become an issue.
So,
Yeah,
is there parking on the road?
Yeah, I go by there all the time, and that's what they park them down that dead end road. That's Edge Road, and that's where they park them.
I'm not surprised.
They're all up and down.
Only
through
because
there.
they're starting to park everywhere.
They park as many as they can because that's not just 4. They park as many as they can because they got their sign out there making money.
Yes, sir.
So what? I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood, Sean. I apologize. So I thought the parking was right in, kind of like right on the same parcel as the Chevron station there, not down that part of Edge Road.
No, it's not. It's not. It's actually is designated to those areas that's actually on the lot. Those is right there. That's in that box right there.
Yeah. In that
Now,
box.
Mr. Carter did allude to having trucks actually park on that Edge Road dead end area. That's not permitted. If we
That's
do
a
see that,
separate issue.
yes, ma'am, we can
Yeah.
call codes and get that addressed.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
separate issue. Any more questions?
Sean, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So you said you looked at the aerial imagery, and as of 2015, those lines were painted. But did you know about when he started charging folks, truckers, to park there?
To my knowledge, I do not have a specific start date, but I do know on January 22nd, code enforcement actually came over there and issued him a letter pertaining to the permitting and that unauthorized sign that he had on the lot.
Okay, and since January 22nd, when they were issued that letter, do you know if they've continued to be permitted to be parked there?
I have seen some. I
You
have
have
seen
seen
some trailers actually parked in those lots right there. I actually did go into the store and see if the applicant was actually there. He was not there on site. I have seen them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I know you said that that they were told to stop in January of this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
but we don't know how long it was going on before?
So what I did ask the applicant, he alluded to it actually starting sometime this year. This from the start of in January. Now that's when code enforcement actually did write a letter, which is a little later in that January month. But to have a clear, concise, I'm just going by what the applicant actually told staff when he started it.
Okay, since I go by there a lot, he was going on last year, so it didn't just start.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Daniel? And is the applicant? You are here, okay. Let's hear from the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Akbar Bamai and I'm the owner of this Chevron station. So I bought this place in 2018, and like since 2018, the previous owner also told me that he allow only 4 designated spots for the truck parking, and he was charging $10. So we just continue that. I don't know how long like it's going on with the previous owner as well. So since 2018 we bought it, we were allowing only 4 designated parking. And last year, we put the sign also that this is with the arrow sign that only these 4 are allowed. So last year we got a violation notice that sign is not allowed, right? Nothing about the parking. So we removed the sign. We were fine. And then this year somebody stopped by here and that we got a violation notice that this is not zoned for the truck parking. But I mean, for 5-6 years nobody noticed. Everything was smooth. But this year in January, we got a violation notice. So I just want to bring this into compliance. So I applied for this, to bring this permission and bring this into the compliance. Also, that is a separate issue. Every time, like when we close at 11, truck drivers come and they block this edge road. And also on the right side of the building where we have a dumpster, they park they come inside the lot where we don't allow. They come like 4, 5, every morning when we come to open the store at 5, there's 4, 5 trucks already blocking my dumpster and everything. So I need help from city also that how can we, get rid of this problem also.
Thank you, sir. Yes, questions?
So I see on the map, on the aerial view, that is it overnight truck stop across the street at that gas station?
There's
And then there's one right next to it too, right?
Like Pilot has their own truck space.
Are they just connected?
No.
Because it looks like a lot of trucks.
It's a Pilot, and then there's like a truck repair spot. Back
Oh, okay,
behind it.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, an auction site. Okay.
So are trucks allowed to stay overnight at the gas station across the street? Oh, that's the Pilot station. Okay, thank you.
No other questions for the applicant? Right, any other? If y'all don't have any other questions, we'll revert back to the council for a motion. Can I make a public comment? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Public hearing. We just need 6 more
I
hours
was
of
going to
meetings.
say, I've been here long enough, I'm almost asleep. But I'm Amy Brown, 143 Autumn Run Place. As a business owner in Villa Rica, if a business is issued a violation notice, they need to stop doing what they're doing. My understanding is they've also been issued a fine because they did not stop what they're doing despite they have an application. So if we go out there tonight, he could potentially have somebody for $10 hanging out over there, but it's already against our policy. He's been doing this against our policy for many years. Yes, it's a slap on the hands of the city of Villa Rica for not having codes go out and do their job. I know we've been short-staffed, but if we would do our job, a lot of our other issues would be resolved. But they've already mentioned that he's doing this, and he's already gotten had a violation in '23. He had a violation in '24. He's also had trash out there that's a violation. So why are we expecting somebody who's a habitual violator to comply with our other guidelines that we have imposed in this? So I ask that you deny it. As a business owner who's trying her very best to follow the rules, I'd like everybody else to follow the rules too. Thank you. I'm going to bed. Y'all too.
I think that matters if that's something that can be documented. I remember we had a problem one time with a taxi service that we had told not to operate, and then they operated, and that we became less likely to give them what they wanted to license to operate in the city. I don't know, because I have to assume then if that occurred in code enforcement, y'all are the only ones that can tell us if that occurred. Because otherwise I can give the applicant the idea that maybe he didn't know that you weren't allowed to do that until, but if you've been cited, that's a different story for us. So we kind of need to know that kind of information if there's been a problem with non-compliance. The applicant did mention, and I don't know how this gets resolved, with they close at, is it 11? Yeah. They close at 11. Mr. Barber, what do we do then if they're closed and we have trucks going in there? Is it their job to police it? How do they police it when they're not there?
On his property, yeah. Yes, I mean, he's got to deal with the problem on his property.
Okay, so it doesn't appear that there's really anything the city can do to keep trucks off your property. It's something, I assume you'd have to put some sort of chain or blockage across or something like that. And do you want, I'll give the applicant a chance to come up. In case you want to address any concern, I'll give you an opportunity because I know there were certain things said. And if you all have a question, my question would be, have you had previous violations where you've been cited, and that's my question.
When we get a violation, they give us some days to correct it, right? So back we got violation that there was some people throw dumpster, and they give us some days. So we took care of that. Last year we got a violation that there's a sign which is not allowed, so I removed the sign. This year we got a violation that truck parking is not allowed. They gave us few days, right? So I went to the office and I said that I need to correct it. I want to be in compliance. So they said, okay, yeah, we'll present this to the council meeting and then we'll sort this thing out.
Okay.
And also, as I said, at night time, even at the designated parking, they come and they park at night time. And we have put the sign that it will be towed and this and that at the, there's a company we hired or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's sign everywhere. But still, when we come in the morning, they don't care. They come inside and they sleep inside the truck.
Okay, thank you, sir. Counsel? I think we closed public comment, reverted back to the council. Well, we're allowed to still ask the applicant a question, or staff. Council can, yeah. They aren't. Hang on to it and call me about it. Any other if there's no other questions from y'all, I'll entertain a motion.
Does Danny have a motion?
He said you got a
Does Danny have one? Are you gonna make it? I don't have anything. I really don't. I'm a little brain fried.
I have a really good excuse. I can't make one.
Councilwoman Warmers?
I make a motion to deny the request for a special exception use permit from the council to allow the property to have 4 semi-trucks overnight parking lanes on the property of 701 Edge Road.
That was to deny. Did I hear that correct?
That was to deny.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous. In favor of the denial. In the future, I'm always going to have you do it, but I know y'all are operating all that stuff. Okay. All right, next item, which is somewhat related, we separated it, and that is for number 6, CU-05-24, special exception use request to allow a vape shop in C2 zone. This also has a public hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Daniels.
Okay, I'll go through this one a little quicker. This is pertaining to the same lot 701 Edge Road, and the applicant is actually trying to see if they can get a request for a vape shop within a C2 zone. So the C2, or excuse me, the applicant is trying to see if he can open up a vape shop for a Suite B. Suite B is 1,800 square feet suite of the 5,548 full square footage building of the convenience store and the Suite B. That Suite B did have previous tenants were restaurants. It was one that was actually there, opened up sometime last year, but the applicant actually had to go through legal issues to see if he can't remove them, and hence why the Suite B has been vacant. Based on the findings that staff actually has looked into, based off our supplementary requirements, this parcel isn't within 300 feet of any health sensitive groups like a hospital, child care, or churches or parks. So that does meet that, and also meets the not within the 500 feet from another proposed use or smoke/vape shop store. This lot actually meets all parking for both the convenience store, filling station, and the proposed vape shop as well. Based off of all that, staff does recommend approval, and the reasons is because the proposed business does meet, again, all supplementary standard requirements of our zoning ordinance. It is projected to have less traffic than the restaurants that are actually was inside that Suite B, and it meets all parking requirements for that lot as well.
Council questions? Don't leave yet. Any questions? No questions? All right. Would the applicant like to be heard regarding the vape shop that's being proposed in your place?
So I have this space right next to the gas station, and we already sell some vape product, but there's a lot of variety, and this space is vacant. There's no use, so I thought if we can open a vape shop here.
So if I understood you correctly, just like convenience stores or gas station, you're selling some, but
Some
you're
vape, yeah.
looking to have somebody
More variety.
able to rent and sell
No,
more.
previously I tried to rent it this space, but unfortunately the people who started the
Speak for or against this item? Okay, we'll close the public comment time and revert back to the council. If y'all don't have any other questions.
Yeah, no question, but my only concern on this is I don't want Villarica to become the vape capital of the world. I'd hate for that to be what everybody knows as far as, let's go to Villarica and do some vaping. That's not good.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to deny application CU-0524.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Finance, Jennifer.
Okay, I'll try to make it short
Tomorrow
and
should be
sweet.
a holiday for the employees, huh?
Yes. Okay, this is the financial update as of February 2024. We'll start off with cash. Our total cash has increased 51% compared to the same time period last year. We're at $51 million. General fund makes up 15.2, water and sewer 4.5, sanitation and solid waste 250,000, stormwater 1.2, and that is due to transfer from the water and sewer fund for some stormwater projects. Our Eastside TAD bond proceeds are around $14 million. Our debt service for the TAD is at 1.4. Carroll Splost for 2015 is dwindling down because of the new Carroll Splost at 7.3. Douglas Splost of 2016 was 3.6, and the new Douglas Splost is 1.6. We do have around $2.5 million pending from GFA for some GFA reimbursements, and hopefully we'll be getting those in the next month. Residential permits and taps for them through the month of February for year to date, we've received 129 building permits at 262,000, 55 water taps, and 48 sewer taps. Local option sales tax is still performing very well year after year, month after month. When you compare what we received in February of this year compared to last year, it was an 8.5% increase. And for Douglas on the Carroll side, and then on the Douglas County side, it was a 12% increase. So in total for Carroll was 196,000, and in Douglas it was 168,000. Our property tax, through the month of February, we had budgeted 3.5 for Carroll. We've received 3.3, which is at a 95% collection. On the Douglas side, we budgeted 2.2, and we've received 2.1, which is around 97%. So in total, through the month of February, we've collected 96% of what we budgeted. Looked through the month of March, and we're now at 97%. Business activity or water and sewer fund, we've received $5.1 million in revenue, with $670,000 of that being water and sewer taps, and then another, I think it was $750,000 we've received for developer contribution for improvement to a lift station. Our total expenses in that fund are $5.3 million, and right now we have a net loss of $213,000. Business activity for sanitation and solid waste through February, we've had $726,000 in revenue, and our total expenses have been $685,000, so we have a net income of $40,000. Last but not least, our self-funded insurance. Our bank balance, cash in the bank, is $1.5 million. And we have had, and I think I've mentioned for the past 2 months, we have had some high claimants, which happens periodically. All of the water and sewer taps that we have budgeted for, as well as some of our expenses, including our debt service, had increased when we refinanced the bonds. We wanted a level debt service structure, and so our annual debt service requirement's more than what it's been in the past.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, item D, city manager, but it comes under you, but Mr. Denny will be giving us the video to demonstrate stormwater utility.
Thank you, and I promise I won't prolong our meeting longer than 5 minutes. Metro area communities without such utility, and many communities have created explainer videos for their residents. Tonight I am presenting you with a demonstration of a video that I created. It has been vetted by Bobby and others involved in this project. Bobby can and will discuss this project in far greater detail than this video, but in this 2 minutes and 40 seconds, I have tried to explain what the utility is and what we hope to accomplish. As we gather public input, this introductory video is something that we could put on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and something you can use to link in your emails with constituents. So with your permission, I ask the clerks, there we go, okay.
Most people don't think about stormwater unless they drive through a flooded street or see standing water in their yard. But even in a small city such as ours, it can be a real problem. Stormwater is simply rainwater that runs off your property and large commercial properties. Instead of soaking into the ground, this runoff follows natural terrain until it winds up in places it shouldn't be. That runoff also carries contaminants that hurt plants and worse. Villa Rica is considering a project that would help us better maintain and even improve our stormwater system. This will help us to prevent flooding, as well as prevent property damage, protect our streams and drinking water, and promote economic health and the quality of life for residents. Rooftops, roadways, parking lots, and other paved surfaces are impervious. That means rain can't soak through, so it flows across those surfaces carrying contaminants like yard fertilizer, pet waste, oils, and pesticides. This polluted water flows until it reaches the nearest stream or lake. Many of the city's current stormwater pipes are 20 to 30 years old or older. If they fail, the roads and sidewalks above could also fail. These repairs are costly, but it is much less expensive to take a proactive approach and correct issues before they become problems. The proposed stormwater utility would collect fees, and the revenue would only go to pay for these infrastructure improvements. It's an investment that will keep the city in compliance with state and federal regulations, keep major roadways passable, avoid flooding of homes and businesses, keep our streams healthy for people and wildlife, and replace and upgrade our current infrastructure. It's certainly not fair for residents to bear this cost alone. Your rooftops, driveways, and patios don't create as much stormwater as the large rooftops and parking lots of large commercial buildings. Under our current thinking, residents will pay a fixed rate, while businesses would be assessed rates based on the square footage of their rooftops, parking lots, and overall size of their impervious surface. This is a problem we all share, and as a community, we can solve it. We're interested in your thoughts, so let us know what you think.
And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Elliott, it's your turn.
Oh, what a long day. This has been talked about with y'all. I've been on the agenda 2 or 3 times. Did y'all ever get a copy of the proposals?
Think?
You mean
Is that
other than what's attached in
You mean
here?
what's in the packet?
This.
I don't think
This
so.
is the recommended firm that we've recommended to do the analysis. If you didn't get a copy of this, you need a copy because this lays out step by step by step the methodology that they plan to use to develop this program.
I don't see that in the packet.
Yeah, I'm
If
looking
you
at the
don't, I
request
will-
for proposals.
I
That's
will
not it.
get you a copy, digital. With that being said, we have 3 firms that we received proposals from. Myself, Mark Teal, and Jameson Green, our stormwater program manager, rated the 3 firms. The low bidder was Integrated Science and Engineering at $135,500. We have $150,000 budgeted. We didn't choose them. We didn't recommend them just because they were the low bid. Their methodology that they're planning on using is exactly what we used in Cartersville when we put the utility up there in 2007. It involves setting up a stormwater action committee, several public meetings, input, town hall meetings, all of it, to get the community involved. The committees are made up of, they recommend not more than 16 members, but they are chosen from across the population cross-section of Villa Rica. I mean, professionals, engineers, city council people, homeowners, HOA people, the whole cross-section, because the word gets out better that way. They will develop, well, like I said, I'll get you a copy of this that goes right through it. They will analyze the city as far as what kind of impervious surfaces we have. They will come up with a base rate, not necessarily the dollar amount, but the ERU, equivalent residential unit square footage per resident that will get charged. And then the commercials and industrials are a multiple of that based on how much square footage they have. And then we decide on what we want to charge per ERU based on how much money we think we need to collect per year to fix stormwater problems. And when they get through with this analysis, they will prepare an ordinance that will be presented to Mayor and Council for your adoption. You don't have to do anything other than approve this and let's, get them started. But you won't do anything other than get involved and get to know exactly what's going on. But you don't have to do anything until the ordinance is written, presented for your approval. And what we're asking tonight is let's take the first step. And we recommend the Integrated Science and Engineering's bid proposal for $135,500 to be approved.
And you said that during this, that a SWAC is established, which is a Stormwater Action Committee that also includes citizens, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The HOA
Yes, ma'am.
people, other people out of neighborhoods, okay. We did a lot of discussion on this earlier during the work session.
Yeah, I still
I
have
would
a
not
throat-
torment
my throat's
anybody
still sore from
with asking
earlier.
anything again. Yes, Councilman Carter.
I agree with you. We got to take the first step. This thing's coming no matter what. And I'm going to make a motion to approve the proposal from Integrated Science and Engineering, Inc. at the proposal fee of $135,500. Authorize the city attorney to develop the contract based on the RFP and the proposal, and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That's unanimous in favor. Just to be clear, this does not institute this water utility. It is, I guess you would call research study, education, information, looking at it. Okay, Mr. Barber, is your city manager report under 5 minutes? Pardon? Okay, so the only thing I'd recommend for those of y'all, because I know there's citizens that appreciate that report, so when I get mine, I plan on sharing it, because there are citizens that like to hear, because it does give good updates on some things. All right, anything else?
One last thing from me. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of all this. This will be a fun project for me, really. Really.
I always thought stormwater was a lot of fun, maybe as a kid,
Well,
but for other reasons.
You will enjoy it. When this thing is done, you will fully understand what's going on.
Okay, so entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Don't everybody jump at
Second.
once. For a second, everybody in favor. We're adjourned.